I've had to make sure I'm not gotten overly aggressive with my hydration pre-show, ladies and gentlemen, after the disaster that was the other night. Welcome into the program. And guys, we've got a lot to cover tonight. Holy mackerel. I have so many things that I've been swimming around and I'm just dying to get out, and I have not found a time to make that happen. And tonight seems like a good night. I have a ton of, it's not urine yellow. Come on, stop it. It's not yellow like the specks around the bowl that Buff Barron was having to clean up the other night. No, I have several things that I've been trying to get out, and I've been trying to find the right time. I've been trying to find a time where I can jump in and grab it. A couple of things. One is my wife, of all people, last night informed me after the program that the audio was silent and she had to reset her YouTube feed. I don't know what that's all about. And I got several people aggressively telling me that they were having trouble even locating the program when it was time to come on. So if you are having any trouble with the audio, reset it. I don't know if you can hear me. I'll go full Helen Keller here. If you're having trouble with the audio, reset it. Reset the audio now. I think Helen would approve. Yes, happy Candlemas, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Candlemas. All right, I want to get something out of the way right off the bat. We have some creative fans. Very, very creative fans. For example, somebody made this the other day. I referenced it, but I haven't played it yet. And then after I played the bit last night, somebody was like, why didn't you play the greatest hits bit? Well, okay. And I put a link to it in the description. I'll do the same tonight. This was what a generous viewer came up with. So I guess related to their thoughts on the program. So here you go. All right, I'm back. Amateur hour, ladies and gentlemen. I do apologize. Oh, that's right. I didn't play it because it had a score. That's what it was. Anyway, I'll drop a link to the comments anyway. I thought it was pretty hilarious. But it has a score, and I'm not sure if the score is copyrighted. And then YouTube gets all bent out of shape if you ever violate someone's copyright. So I might not be able to do that. But I'll drop a link to it in the description. I might do that. Oh, gosh, it's still going. I might do that now while I'm thinking about it. And that way, you will, should you choose after the program, because if I don't do it now, I'll totally forget. That way, if you choose, you can go back and watch it. So I just dropped that in there right now. Oh, look, see, guys, you're getting front row service here. You're getting Doris Day service. All right. Here's how I want to start the program. I anticipate sometime in the next week, maybe as early as this week, we're going to have a guest on the program that's going to enlighten us on Charlie Kirk's spiritual journey. And I've been in touch with this person, and I today invited him on the program, and he said tentatively yes, but he wants to have one conversation with somebody in advance of coming on the program, but he doesn't think it'll change anything. And so I said, well, if you're going to do that, there's an open I've been wanting to do. I've had it kind of outlined in my head, and I want to get this open on the record because I think it sets up nicely what you and I would talk about. And what I don't want to do is invite somebody on and do a 20-minute open and just make them sit there and watch me. That's weird. So I'm going to do the open tonight in anticipation of that because I don't know. It could come potentially as early as tomorrow. Yeah, the mic in plate is new. Somebody was complaining. I actually bought it before the person complained, but somebody was complaining about the Shure advertisement on the back. And I had another friend say, your mic's mounted upside down. I was like, yeah, it's an underboom. I can't help it. These things, they come from below. So you got to have your mic upside down in order to fit on there. So anyway, that's neither here nor there. That's a little technical for no reason. But here is, let me give you the opening tonight and understand that this is a setup to a greater conversation. I anticipate this will be a setup to a greater conversation as it's coming down the pike. Yeah, I don't think I need to give you any other setup other than that. Oh gosh. This is why I need a producer. There we go. All right. I need one of those people you can bark at. I'll call him Bill. Bill, you got to fix this, Bill. Bill, I've got no open, Bill. Oh, but thanks, Bill. Okay, guys, you ready? Here's your opening statement. The rumor that Charlie Kirk had an interest in Catholicism has been circulating for the past few years. Now that he is no longer with us, we can't ask him about it, but we can look at the statements made by those who knew him. The problem with doing that, of course, is that we can't ask Charlie if those statements are accurate. We'll look tonight at one such statement. But first, I want to take a look at the history of prominent Protestants who've made the switch. These are Protestants who were only known publicly primarily because of the public exercise of their Christian faith. The conversion of prominent Protestants to Catholicism has long been uniquely controversial. If someone we know at a local Baptist church starts attending a Presbyterian church, it rarely raises more than an eyebrow, if even that. But the same Baptist becomes Catholic, and it's accompanied by deep discussions about what it is that led that person to make such a drastic change. Charlie Kirk, for example, was raised in a fundamentally Presbyterian upbringing. When he started attending non-Presbyterian churches, nobody really batted an eye. But when he was rumored to be exploring the mysteries of Rome, it seemed like nearly everyone had an opinion. And many offered assurances that he, in fact, was not intrigued by the theology of Catholicism as much as, say, the architecture or just the peace and quiet of a Catholic church. Protestant conversions to Catholicism often highlight deep theological tensions and broader cultural clashes between Protestant emphases on sola scriptura, individual faith, and anti-institutional sentiments versus Catholic traditions of apostolic succession, sacramental life, and ecclesiastical authority. While such conversions date back centuries, they continue to provoke fallout in modern times, especially when involving influential figures whose decisions ripple through denominations, congregations, and public discourse. Take John Henry Newman, for example. Newman was a towering intellectual and Anglican cleric. He stands as one of the single most pivotal figures in the history of Protestant Catholic conversions. He was born in London way back in 1801. He was highly educated, having graduated from Oxford. Newman initially embraced evangelical Anglicanism, becoming both a fellow at Oriel College and a leading voice in the Oxford movement. This movement, starting in the 1830s, sought to revive Anglicanism's Catholic roots by emphasizing apostolic succession, the sacraments, and patristic traditions amid growing secularism and government interference in church affairs. Newman's journey towards Catholicism was gradual and agonizing. He was inspired by his immersion in the early church fathers, particularly citing Augustine and Athanasius. He grappled with Anglicanism's claims to be a via media between Protestantism and Catholicism. But his studies revealed inconsistencies. Anglicanism lacked the unbroken continuity and holiness he claims he saw in the Roman Church. By 1845, after years of prayer and writing, most notably his essay on the development of Christian doctrine, Newman concluded that the Roman Catholic Church was the true successor to the Apostolic Church. In October of 1845, he was received into the Catholic Church. This act marked a profound personal sacrifice. He resigned his Anglican orders and his Oxford fellowship. He severed ties with the academic world that defined him. His fallout was immediate and severe. He lost nearly all of his personal friends, most of whom were Anglicans. They viewed his defection as a betrayal of the Reformation's principles. His family, steeped in evangelical Protestantism, rejected him, and it exacerbated his isolation. Publicly, Newman faced ridicule and suspicion. Anglicans, they felt abandoned by a leader who'd inspired many. Catholics, they initially eyed him with skepticism as a potential infiltrator. But the broader impact was seismic. Newman's conversion catalyzed a wave of Oxford intellectuals to explore Catholicism. It exposed Anglicans' fractures, prompting debates on authority and doctrine that persist today. Personally, Newman endured trials that deepened his surrender to God, leading to his establishment of the Oratory of St. Philip Neri in Birmingham, and later works like Apologia Pro Vita Sua in 1864, defending his path. He was canonized as a Catholic saint in 2019, and his story exemplifies how conversions can disrupt institutions, but also alienate communities and cause social ostracism and emotional pain. Fast forward to 2007. Francis J. Beckwith was raised in Las Vegas as a Catholic. He left the church as a teen for evangelical Protestantism. He was influenced by his encounters with Reformed theology. He became a prominent philosopher at Baylor University, authoring works on ethics and apologetics. He rose to the president of the prestigious Evangelical Theological Society in 2006. ETS is a bastion of good and serious Protestant scholarship. Beckwith's return to Catholicism began subtly through moral philosophical studies, where he engaged Catholic thinkers like Aquinas. As issues like justification, the sacraments, church authority surfaced in his studies, he realized his evangelical views aligned more with Catholic teachings on grace and works. In April 2007, he received absolution and rejoined the Catholic Church, announcing it publicly on May 5th. The fallout was immediate and swift. As the ETS president, his move was seen as incompatible with the society's Protestant ethos. He resigned because of the uproar. Evangelical bloggers and colleagues criticized him for betraying Reformation principles, with some accusing him of never truly leaving Catholicism in the first place. Beckwith's reversion highlighted the divide between evangelicals and Catholics. His book, Return to Rome, in 2009, detailed his journey, defending Catholic doctrines like the Immaculate Conception. Critics argued it misrepresented Protestantism. Personally, he maintained evangelical friendship, but faced deep cultural disconnection. Ulf Ekman was the founder of Sweden's Word of Life megachurch. His conversion to Catholicism represents a charismatic Protestant conversion that stunned Sweden and broader Scandinavia. He was born in 1950. He was a Lutheran pastor before embracing Pentecostalism in the 1980s. He established the Word of Life Church in 1983 as a prosperity gospel hub. It had global reach. His anti-Catholic teachings were the standard fare. His preaching and teaching portrayed Catholicism as idolatrous. Ekman's journey shifted in the late 1990s during trips to Rome and Jerusalem, where he encountered joyful Catholics that challenged his prejudices. Reading Catholic sources on the sacraments, unity, Mary, he and his wife, Birgitta, felt drawn to the Catholic Church. By 2014, after years of prayer, they announced their conversion during a Sunday service. Ekman and his wife were received into the church in May of 2014, and he cited Jesus leading them to unity as his primary motivation. As you can imagine, the fallout was explosive. His 3,300-member congregation experienced uproar, pain, disillusion. Ekman himself was bombarded by questions. Many of his parishioners felt betrayed by his reversal on Catholicism and the implicit critique of the powerful movement he built on a specifically anti-Catholic message. And personally, the Ekmans faced mixed reaction, but they found a sense of peace, as they described in their book, The Great Discovery, which was released in 2018. And finally, Michael Nazir Ali. He was born in Pakistan in 1949. He was educated in Catholic schools, but he was a practicing Anglican for most of his life. He served as Bishop of Rochester from 1994 to 2009. He was widely considered a contender for the highest position in Anglicanism, the Archbishop of Canterbury. He was staunchly conservative on issues of marriage and sexuality, and he criticized Anglicanism's progressive positions on both issues. Nazir Ali was received into the Catholic Church on September 29, 2021. He was then ordained a priest a month later. He cited Anglicanism losing its way on doctrine and morals, favoring Catholicism's sacramental tradition and authority. Conservative Anglicans mourned the loss of one of their own who was holding the line on conservative positions on marriage and sexuality. Progressives saw his conversion as reactionary. His conversion fueled modern discussions on ecumenism and schisms. His move, part of a trend, amplified tensions without massive institutional rupture, but deepened personal and communal rifts. And all of this leads us to Charlie Kirk. Kirk's career started as a staunch defender of libertarian economic principles. But he had deeply moved into presenting his Christian faith as the central topic of his teachings. He was widely considered a leading evangelical conservative activist, particularly among younger Americans. Charlie identified as an evangelical Protestant. Yet he showed at least an interest, if not a fascination, with Catholicism. His wife was raised Catholic. He attended Mass and praised certain Catholic traditions. On September 18th, just 8 days after he was murdered, an article in the official newspaper of the Archdiocese of Los Angeles said Charlie had told Bishop Joseph Brennan of Fresno, California, that he was this close to converting to Catholicism. The bishop's brother wrote the article with the bishop's permission to share the encounter between Charlie and the bishop. The encounter happened during a pro-life prayer breakfast a week before Charlie died on September 10th. The key passage of the article reads as follows. Quote, "It was there at the prayer breakfast that Charlie told the bishop about his Catholic wife and children and how he attended Mass with them. He punctuated this conversation with, quote, 'I love my Catholic pastor,' end quote. As they were parting to attend the more public portion of the prayer breakfast, Kirk mentioned speculation regarding his contemplating entering the Catholic Church, saying, quote, 'I'm this close,' end quote. If Kirk had converted, the fallout would have been massive. His influence among young conservatives and evangelicals cannot possibly be overstated. His base was steeped in anti-Catholic tropes, and they would have seen his conversion as a betrayal. The possibility of donor losses and TPUSA schisms are incredibly likely. Public debates likely would have erupted within Christian circles. And it's in that light that I want to review a conversation an enterprising ex-poster had with Father Don Kline from St. Bernadette Catholic Church in Scottsdale, Arizona. Father Kline is the priest at the heart of Candace Owens' reporting last week, where one of her listeners emailed about an encounter she had with Father Kline that included Erika Kirk and Stacy Sheridan at St. Bernadette Parish there in Scottsdale. And I want to bring up the conversation because I think it's important before I have my follow-up show, I think later this week. I think it's important we get the priest's current story on the record. Because, again, if Charlie Kirk had converted, it would be disastrous, I think, to TPUSA. I really, truly believe that. Their theology was just a little too anti-Catholic, and particularly among their donor base. So here's Father Don Kline. You might have heard Candace talk about on her show an encounter that a potential TPUSA donor had with this particular priest, and her telling of it. Now, Father Kline will, I think, allude either to that encounter or encounters like that. It's my understanding this recording was made with his permission. I could be wrong, but it's floating around out there, so we're going to listen to it. But I want you to listen to how he explains certain things. First thing he will talk about is whether or not he was aware Charlie Kirk was converting. Again, I would think this guy would know, but I want you to hear from him how he describes what he knows. And let's see if we can read between the lines a little bit.
This whole thing with, Charlie Kirk getting murdered has been just so tragic. But I guess he was converting to Catholicism at the end. Is that right?
I don't know.
If you didn't hear him, he said, "I don't know." I think that's a weird answer. And here's the thing, too. I'm not here to say Charlie should or shouldn't have converted to Catholicism. I think Charlie should have followed his heart. If that's where his heart was leading, then he should have. This is not an evaluation of whether Charlie was about to make the leap or whether Charlie should have made the leap. My point is far more narrow. I'm trying to figure out why he's not breathing. I'm trying to figure out why he's dead. And if money had a role in it, in other words, if Charlie's conversion would have caused a significant disruption to TPUSA, you saw how he reacted a night or two before his murder. You saw how he reacted to losing a $2 million donation. He was very frustrated. That was the Jewish donors fit all the stereotypes text. That was the I'm left with no choice but to leave the pro-Israel cause text. He was very frustrated. And so I'll go back and start it over in light of that.
This whole thing with, Charlie Kirk being murdered has been just so tragic. But I guess he was converting to Catholicism at the end. Is that right?
I don't know.
People have been talking about that. So anyway,
I don't know those people.
Okay.
Who's saying that?
Oh, well, there's a lot of people saying that he was converting to Catholicism, like at the end, and he attended like St. Bernadette, right?
Yeah, he would come here for mass on occasion, but I don't know anything about any converting to Catholicism. I mean, that's news to me.
Okay.
So again, that's news to me. I don't know anything about it. The impression I walked away from after this conversation was the reporting must have been wrong. Because again, I don't see how one could conclude after listening to this guy. I don't see how one could conclude that Charlie Kirk was actively looking at whether or not to convert to Catholicism, despite what he said allegedly to the Bishop of Fresno at a prayer breakfast the week before he passed away. Because those two things can't, like, your home pastor would know. You don't just sign a piece of paper and convert to Catholicism. You don't just decide one day, you know what, I'll be Catholic and start going to the Catholic Church. I mean, you can go to the Catholic Church, but to be welcomed into the church, you have to be approved. The priest has to sign off on it. The bishop has to sign off on it. Like, we'll let you hang out in the lobby. We'll let you come in and listen to the service. But if you want to be in the registry as a registered converted Catholic, your priest has to know about it. This supposedly was his priest. And his priest is saying he doesn't know anything about it. And so I have trouble reconciling. And I tend to say maybe the local priest would know. Maybe the Bishop of Fresno heard him incorrectly. Maybe he translated the story incorrectly to his brother. That's why I went in search of an answer, because I have two stories that are not able to be reconciled. I've got a story of a local priest in Scottsdale who said, I don't know, I haven't heard anything about that. And I got a story in the archdiocesan newspaper in Los Angeles that says, no, he was this close. I suppose it's possible. There's a third possibility that Charlie was all things to all people. And when he was around a bishop that he was trying to be good with, he would tell that guy, yeah, I'm this close to converting. And when he was around the pastor at the parish where he attended mass, he would say, I don't know, not really looking for it. I mean, that's possible. That's possible. But again, I'm setting up a guest that I think will be able to answer the question for us in a few days. Here is a little more from the priest at St. Bernadette there in Scottsdale.
And did he have like any type of like Catholic memorial service or anything?
Yeah. I'm going to try to respect his privacy. So why is this important to you?
Well, so, I mean, there's a lot of reasons, because people are saying like, oh, he was, evangelical, and they were talking about, I don't know, all the various different aspects of it, but I don't know. So
let me ask you, because this is a point of contention that I believe has been resolved, and I think the priest just sort of hinted at it if we read between the lines. I do believe Charlie had a Catholic funeral, or at least a Catholic service that accompanied his funeral. And I don't know why the guy wouldn't just say, yeah. I don't know if the guy would just say, yeah. Yeah, we did a little Catholic service at the request of his family. I think it's a little strange to me. It's possible the guy's just very poorly spoken. I mean, that's certainly a possibility. He's just very poorly spoken. Here is probably the weirdest 18 seconds or so of this entire interview or this entire conversation. He's asked a very specific question about, do you advise Erika? And he gives a very weird answer.
I mean, you weren't like Erika's like Catholic advisor priest. I mean, the people are saying that as well.
Yeah, I have thousands of people that I advise.
Right.
I'm advising you. I mean, I advise a lot of people. I'm not quite sure what this has to do with Charlie's dad.
I don't like when people won't answer questions. It is so frustrating to me. It is so frustrating to me when you ask someone a question and they answer something you didn't ask. I don't know. I advise lots of people. Now, the reason I wanted to play this is this particular clip right here. It's 26 seconds long, so bear with me. But I think this is an important clip because Candace reported the other day about an encounter a possible donor had at this man's parish. I believe it was this man's parish. And in the encounter, as Candace described it, in the encounter as the viewer to Candace described it, I don't want to ascribe it to Candace. I want to ascribe it to the person who wrote the email. But in the email from the alleged donor, the story goes as follows. I, the alleged donor, was sitting in the church, and the pastor, this guy, allegedly, came up, tapped me on the shoulder, and said, would you like to go sit with Erika? I thought that was a weird encounter. I wanted to know more about it. I was fascinated when this question was asked, and I thought, all right, here we go. Now we're getting somewhere. Now we're going to find an answer to this question. Here's how he answered it, which, again, was a little weird.
Right. And then I don't know if you're aware that there's people that are saying that I guess during Erika's grieving process that you were potentially connecting her with like wealthy donors during that process is what people are saying now.
Yeah, I'm always the last to know. Isn't that something?
Yeah. So I see there's no truth to that at all.
No, there's no truth to that. Again,
I'm always the last to know. If I'm a priest and somebody says, hey, I heard you're out there shilling for a charity, and it's all about the money, is there any truth? No, absolutely not. What are you talking about? That's ludicrous. I would never do that. I would never compromise my authority in this place to raise money for Erika Kirk and Stacey Sheridan. I would never do that. I would never allow my parish to be used as a recruiting tool to sucker money out of rich old people. And when I heard his response, I was a little shocked. I was also a little shocked by this next question, and I'm not trying to smear the guy. I'm just trying to get to the bottom of whether or not he's an honest actor, whether or not he's an honest person. Because I have questions in my head right now about the answer to that question. He's asked about allegations of sexual impropriety. And I want you to hear if he ever says, no, it's not true. It's absolutely false. I want you to just listen because I didn't hear it. I didn't hear it. And when I'm evaluating someone's truthfulness, I want to hear you directly answer these questions. So if I'm listening to somebody and I'm trying to figure out, is Erika Kirk running a scam out of a Catholic parish with Stacey Sheridan under this guy's nose that he's aware of it? When I'm evaluating whether or not there's truth to what Candace said about that, I want to know, is this a guy who's a straight shooter? Does he answer questions the way questions should be answered? And here is the way he answered it. And I was a little underwhelmed.
Okay, that's good. That's good to hear. And then, I mean, people are talking about also that, like in your past, there was some allegation of like sexual misconduct or something, and there's no truth to that either.
I wouldn't be sitting here if there was.
Look, all you have to say is, of course, there's no truth to that. The guy even gave you a leading question. That's the definition of a leading question. You tell them what the answer is. Hey, there's allegations of sexual impropriety in your past. Is there any there's no truth to that, is there? No, there's not. Of course not. That is absolutely correct. I would never do something like that. Not, well, I wouldn't be sitting here if they had investigated it and found it to be true.
Yeah.
I would be removed. The church right now, they're hypersensitive of that.
Right.
Any kind of improprieties, so sexual or otherwise. So yeah, they would remove me if there was any truth to that.
Right.
Does that make sense? Do you understand that?
Yeah, I understand that.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, the bishops are all over that now because of scandals in the past, right? So they're very much watching that. So if there is any truth to any of that, I would be removed. Otherwise, you're accusing the entire church of hiding something.
Right. Yeah. Obviously, there was scandals in the past about that, so they're
Correct.
very sensitive to that. So
they are. So they would remove me if there was any improprieties. Just so you know. So I think you see what I'm saying here.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to have to see what you're saying. I want you to answer the question. I don't want you to say, I think you see what I'm saying. No, I don't want to have to interpret what you're saying. Are they true or not? These allegations are surfacing. You've obviously been elevated beyond anonymity because you have people talking about the fact that Charlie was in your parish and Erika's in your parish. And people are looking around and they're saying, hey, wait a minute, this guy may have had some impropriety allegations in the past. And it's a perfect opportunity to say, what are you talking about? You're out of your mind. It's absolutely not true. There's absolutely no truth to any of that. Now, I want to play one more thing. I don't want to spend a whole show on this one guy's conversations, but I am very suspect about his ability to answer a straight question. Let me say it that way. I don't want to call the guy a liar yet. I might after a few days from now, but right now I'm not calling him a liar. I want to show you a weird question because I'm not aware in the United States, particularly in an upscale suburban community of Phoenix, that a lot of priests get death threats. But a lot of people get weird when they start getting death threats and they start being compliant or they start going along with things they might not otherwise agree with. Listen carefully as the subject of death threats come up. And again, I'm not knocking the guy. I'm not suggesting that I know he's being dishonest or anything like that. I am suggesting it's difficult to judge whether he's a truthful person when he won't answer a question. That's weird. That's weird. Particularly when people are accusing you of things. Most people issue flat out denials. Absolutely not have I engaged in any impropriety. Absolutely, not am I running a scam in my parish. I'm not knocking the guy. I'm letting him speak. It would be very easy for me to come out and say, yeah, there's this priest and he's on the record and he's unreliable. I don't know. I'll let you hear from him directly. Here's the last clip I want to play of this. And there's some other good stuff in here, but I don't find it valuable airtime. But this is the last one. It's about death threats.
That happened during COVID. It was the same thing. And some people kept going. And anyway, so.
Well, she's on a global stage now, though. That's different. So, and she has threats on her life, I'm sure. And as do the kids. So, that could be a dangerous situation. So you just can't, you have to be prudent about that, correct?
I could have sworn I heard him say it. He said that there's threats to the life on the kids. Who is threatening Charlie's kids? I'll play it again. Who is that true? Is anyone threatening Charlie's kids? Let me play it one more time.
So,
well, she's on a global stage now, though. That's different. So, and she has threats on her life, I'm sure, and as do the kids. So, that could be a dangerous situation. So you just can't, you have to be, prudent about that, correct?
I suppose, yeah. There's so she does have actual death threats on her from where?
I have no idea.
Yeah. That's terrible if that's the case, but some people also say that they get death threats and they don't really.
I do.
You get death threats?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've had one death threat myself, but I didn't tell everyone about it. I've had a death threat before. I don't broadcast it
scary.
out there.
Scary. Yeah, I wouldn't either.
Yeah.
To me, that's breaking news. To me, that's breaking news. If a parish priest, I'm done with the this clip. If a parish priest is saying that there are death threats on the kid's life, I think that's breaking news. I also think it's breaking news if there are death threats on the priest's life. Guys, it's weird. I mean, just the whole thing is weird. I hate to bring it up. I hate to, but if we're gonna cover this thing fully, and there are these allegations of those type of things being run in this guy's church, and there's this incredibly animated, I don't want to say defense, that's not the right word. If there's this incredibly animated, vehement push to deny that Charlie Kirk had any interest in Catholicism other than perhaps the buildings were pretty nice and it was a quiet place for him to get away, which could be true. I mean, they are pretty nice, a lot of them, not all of them. Some of them look like gymnasiums. But a lot of Catholic churches look pretty nice, and they are generally quiet places to get away. But this unbelievable push to deny that he had any interest more than that, it's a little weird. And when we're trying to establish that, and as we talked about in the open, it potentially could have cost TPUSA its existence, I think. I think we deserve some kind of an answer. Could this have been at least part of the calculation for why he's no longer alive? So that's it. I gotta sometimes venture into uncomfortable territory, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Speaking of Erika, I showed this yesterday. I didn't play it, but I showed this clip of JP Sears. I may end up playing it at some point because this guy's taking so much heat. And he's so talented and he's so funny. And he commenting on something we covered on this program, which is the very weird conversation Erika Kirk had on her Zoom call, 2 consecutive Zoom calls. Very awkward, very, very strange conversations. JP Sears does a comedy bit about it. I don't want to play the whole thing, but I'll give you a feel for it if you haven't seen it. I'll play a little bit of it. You should find him and give him the view and the follow. But I'm going to play a little piece of it because it sets up this right here, which I think is a threat. I think that's a threat. Genuinely, honestly, Seth Dillon from over at the Babylon Bee. The Babylon Bee apparently has committed to only mocking correct women because Seth Dillon is saying we're mocking the wrong woman. Here is JP Sears.
I can't wait for the Zoom call with Erika. Yeah, I can't believe she's doing it just 6 days after Charlie, but she'll probably just be crying the whole time. Poor thing. Oh, she's on.
Oh, look at all the thumbs up. Look how cute that is. Sorry, it's just a little bit more informal than probably Charlie would be reacting. How sweet.
Surprisingly upbeat.
So this is the play. The guy on the one side, on the right side of the screen, he's playing both characters, obviously, but the guy on the right side is the guy who thinks it's amazing that Erika Kirk spends all her time talking about the merch sales, the hat sales, the donations, the business, putting Charlie's death behind them, full speed ahead. We're going to work more than ever. We're not going to spend time with our families. On we go. And this guy with the hat on is playing the normal human being who looks around and says, wait a minute, what are you talking about? How on earth is this normal? How is this remotely normal? How can we possibly believe that this is an acceptable way to act on a Zoom call 6 days after your husband dies? That we're all going to work harder than ever? How can this be the day after your husband's public funeral? How can we possibly conclude that the content of the conversation needs to revolve around how many tens of thousands of hats you've sold? How many hundreds of thousands of new donors have come online? I think it's a very legitimate topic for dispute. This right here, JP is taking real heat. Look at what's in this guy's profile. This is satire reality. His entire career has been built on mocking people. And a lot of times in sensitive situations, which is fine. We need humor. I'm not opposed to mocking people. Obviously not opposed to mocking people, but certainly not opposed to mocking. I've got a what's the right way to say this? My motto is it's never too soon. When you're talking about comedy, it's almost never too soon. Now, the audience might not be right, but it's never too soon. Comedy exists to break the ice. We have some pretty heavy conversations on this program. You guys are hilarious. We like to mix in a little comedy as we discuss it. And if you can't get to that point, if some people are just off limits, you're not allowed to mock Erika Kirk. Why? Why? She's a disaster. She's a walking, talking disaster. Everything she touches is seemingly getting ruined. Why can't we mock her? Why can't we ask why she's the head of TPUSA? JP did a great job in that skit. Again, I encourage you to go give him the follow and the credit for watching it. But he did a great job because he said, hey, if Patrick Mahomes goes down, who's the obvious person who should follow him up as the quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs? And the other guy was like, the second string quarterback? He's like, no, his wife. Why wouldn't his wife be the backup quarterback? I mean, what an obvious point. Oh, we're not allowed to mock Erika that way. Not allowed to mock Erika that way. All right, so I got a little more Erika news later, I think. I think we're going to get to it. I'm still in my head processing whether or not we're going to get there. I do want to switch gears ever so slightly because I don't want to run out of time to cover this. I think this is fascinating. I remember when this happened. This went around Twitter. This was called Twitter back then. It went around Twitter back shortly after Jeffrey Einstein left this mortal plane, or we were told. There was a post on the on 4chan. This is it's one it's one of those websites that you could almost say anything you want and they won't take it down. You could almost say anything you want. And so a lot of people discount everything that's posted on there as it's all just LARPing and everything like that. Well, there was a post that went up before we knew that Jeffrey Einstein had allegedly offed himself. And I'll read it to you because it's right here. And the reason it's coming back up is there was a release in the Einstein Files that seemed to indicate there might be something to this. Here's what it said. Here's the way it worked. I'm not saying anything after this, meaning I'm not going to follow up, so don't bother asking me questions. Please do not try to dox me. But last night, after the 0415 count, they took him, meaning Jeffrey Einstein, they took him to medical in a wheelchair, front cuffed, but not one triage nurse says they spoke to him. In other words, this guy was taken away as if he was going to the medical area, but then the medical nurses never laid eyes on him. He never showed up. Next thing we know, a trip van shows up. This is a transport van. We do not do releases on the weekends unless a judge orders it. In other words, it's very unusual that a trip van shows up. It's very unusual that somebody would come and load up a prisoner on the weekend because judges typically don't work on weekends. And it's just not something that regularly happens. A transport can wait until Monday. Next thing we know, he's put in a single man cell and affixes a bed sheet around his neck to himself. Here's the thing. The trip van did not sign in, and we did not record the plate number, and a guy in green dress military outfit was in the back of the van, according to the tower guy who let him through the gate. You guys, I'm shaking right now, but I think they switched him out. That was up. This has been up since 2019. This has been 6.5 years. This has been up and present. So I'm aware of this. I've been aware of this. I was one of those who was fairly confident he was not alive until yesterday. Because yesterday, when the Einstein Files dropped, buried in the files was a document that was produced in response to a subpoena. Now, I'll explain why that matters to me in this context. The subpoena appears to have been issued the day or two after that post went up. Now, keep in mind, that post went up before news broke that he was no longer with us, that he had allegedly taken his own life. So to get the timeline right, you have 4chan post, goes up before anybody's aware that he's not alive. Then the news breaks. And then a day or two later, there's a subpoena that goes out. Where does the subpoena go out to? It goes out to, of all places, 4chan. They want to know who put this up. I was curious who put it up. And the reason I was curious is because a lot of times people just lie on 4chan. And you could envision a scenario where the lie just happened to line up and the timing was just right, just ever so right. And you're like, whoa, he got lucky. And it gets all kinds of information. I don't know why people get a kick out of lying online, but it's a very common practice. This is the document that was produced. I don't know if you can read it or if it's too small. I'll kind of tell you what it says here. But this is a report generated. The report was generated on August 14 pursuant to a subpoena request. And it's got it says right here, records provided pursuant to a subpoena. And then it's got the text of it right here. It's got the IP address where it came from. They were able to track that down. And they believe it was put up by this guy. Again, I can't state definitively it was, but the belief is this guy is who it was tracked to, this Roberto Grijalva. I don't know if that's true. There's no identifying information here, no home address, no phone number, anything. And here we have evidence that he actually did work there. And he was there that day at that time. Friday, August 9, 2019, approximately 1:15. I, Grijalva, passed on to oncoming staff member, and then it lists some other names here. Also that inmate Einstein will be needing a cellmate upon arrival from his attorney visit. So you have evidence. When you start putting this all together, what you end up with is evidence that this guy may have been honest. That may have been something that happened. It's certainly a fun story, whether or not it's true. I'm not rooting for the guy to get away. I'm not one of those people that just love chaos at all times, and the more chaos, the better. So if he gets away and we can prove he got away, then we got another story to run down. I'm not that guy. I don't want a guy like Einstein getting away with anything. I don't want him on the run. But I've noticed something. There's all this good news out there when it comes to these Einstein files. There's all this incredible news, right? We get news about the way they talk to each other, the way they talk about each other. So I decided to do a search, and I'm going to redo the search now. I'm going to let you guys follow along with me as I do the search now. We're able to look at things like ABC News. Are they covering these files? Nope. Clinton's agreed to give oversight committee testimony. Note nothing about the content in the files. Trump urges Republicans to take over nationalized voting. Partial government shutdown. Kiefer Sutherland makes the top of the news here. We're merging SpaceX with XA. I mean, just nothing, right? Just nothing here about the Einstein files. Well, what about over at CBS News? Do we have anything at CBS News? Well, let's check it out. No, we got a long shutdown thing. We got the Kennedy Center. Again, Clinton's agreed to testify. They're not going to say anything. Sale of billions of rare earth minerals. You know, Ed Martin removed as the czar. I liked Ed Martin. Ed Martin. Now we have the notable names in the Epstein files. Oh, look. It's like the only people they mention are people who were probably baptized as Christians. Bill Gates, Elon Musk, and Prince Andrew. Well, what is NBC News talking about when the Einstein Files come? They agree to give testimony. Oh, here's the big story. The dadgum, they released it in such a hurry to slander all these people. The Department of Justice released it and accidentally released the identities of some of the people. So they're going to have to claw all those files back. They're going to have to pull them back out of the interwebs. They're going to have to make sure you don't see any of this information. Again, I look at the news and I think, what a disconnect. I will suggest it goes the same day after day, the last 2 or 3 days since these Einstein files have come out. There's a total disconnect between what people are talking about on social media. All you got to do is scroll through X. And what the news tells us we're supposed to believe. And when I say the news, I mean, you can throw the Daily Wire in there. You can throw all your shill posters. You could throw in all your Allie Beth Stuckies and Glenn Beck. You can throw all these people in there. There's a total disconnect. They just dropped a bomb on the world. They just dropped a massive bomb in the middle of everybody. And that bomb is, hey, oh, by the way, read through here and see what they think of you. See how they talk about you. See what they call you. It's a big thing. It's a big problem. It's a big deal because these people hate your guts. They've always hated your guts. And they are so biased in favor of their particular religion that if any other religion was talking this way about people who aren't a member of their religion, they would be shamed from polite society. If you had an influence network like this of the highest levels of government and private business, and only Catholics were allowed to participate, and they said things like, we only hire Catholics. Catholics are so much smarter than the Baptists. You don't want to hire the Baptists. You certainly don't want to hire the Buddhists and the Hindus. Are you kidding me? Are you out of your mind? Like, if we talked like that, we would be shunned from polite society. If the Baptists talked that way and said, you know how those Catholics are, they can't be trusted. You don't want to hire them. This is a Baptist only thing. We're gonna allow the Baptist in on our club, but everybody else is kicked out. It would be the front page of everything. They would be absolutely destroying it. ABC, NBC, CBS, Washington Post, New York Times, absolutely everybody would be covering this. But as soon as it's revealed that there's a protected religious class, that's the only way I can refer to it, and the Epstein files, as you read through it, is full of supremacism of that protected religious class and the way they talk about people who aren't a member of it, we're not allowed to talk about it. And we don't talk about it. And I'm frankly shocked. I thought it would be the front page of everything. Hey, 3 million files just dropped. And they are horrific. They talk about torture. They talk about people being sliced and diced. They talk about people being R-worded, S-A-worded. They talk about everything that we're not even allowed to say on here. They just talk about it openly as if it's everyday occurrences. It happens all the time. Why wouldn't we talk about it? Of course we're going to talk about this. It's normal. No, it's not normal. Not normal at all. And we're told it's wrong. We're told we're not allowed to have preferential treatment of certain groups. I will say this. I'm starting to understand after reading through there why Donald Trump's positions have changed so drastically. Not only his, but a lot of people's positions have changed so drastically. I'm starting to figure it out. Because some of the stuff I'm reading in there is so absolutely dangerous, so absolutely not normal. That you just wonder, what is it these guys were going through? All right, I want to switch gears one more time because we talked about potentially Einstein getting removed from jail. Someone referenced this. I had not heard it. I finally tracked it down. This was at a University of Florida appearance. This is Charlie Kirk talking about why he cried. He's talking with a professor, I believe this guy is, why it is Charlie Kirk cried the night Donald Trump got arrested. This may be old hat for you guys. I had not seen it. I was frankly a little shocked. Not that I didn't trust you guys when you told me why you believed he was crying, what you recall him saying, but there's some things I just want to hear with my own ears, and this was one of them.
To lead them towards saying, actually, no, the people in media are misrepresenting this, and this isn't actually the rise of Nazi Germany. Instead, you're like, well, we should consider this, and the similarities are kind of eerily and chilling, which is complete
This is
nonsense.
my area of study. But I do have one thing, and I'll go ahead and I do appreciate your time. I do. I remember I did during the election night in November. I sat back and I was going through YouTube channels who was doing the coverage, and I actually enjoyed your coverage. And there was a point in which Trump won Pennsylvania that you got emotional, and you actually shed a tear or two. I wonder at one point, and that emotional response goes from felicity and joy of shedding a tear of this liberator to actually sorrow of seeing that this is going to get to the point where it could lead to oppression. And that's where my question was.
Do you know why I cried on election night?
Because you thought it was a restoration of the Judeo-Christian values that are inherent to the Constitution.
Let me tell you why, because I think you might appreciate this as a historian. Joe Biden sent the entire federal government after Turning Point USA and me personally. They wanted me in federal prison.
Right.
We don't want that. And by the way, that's what despots do, not
Sure.
Donald Trump. Let me finish. And so when Donald Trump won, it was a sigh of relief that maybe I won't have to go to federal prison.
Sure.
Maybe I can actually be around my kids.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, until you guys mentioned that the other day, I'd never heard of this. I was not aware. But do sometimes people go to prison for things they didn't do? Yeah. Or are sometimes things blown out of proportion and that they're really not prison worthy, but people get convicted of a crime and sent to prison? Yeah, of course, it happens. But I don't think it's quite as common as people tend to think. And if he had a lawyer telling him, hey, there's a chance you're going to go to prison. If some lawyer told him, hey, I've looked at the facts of your case, and there's a chance you're going to prison, and your only chance of staying out of prison is Donald Trump to get elected. I got to ask why. What specifically was it? And again, I'm not saying he had done anything wrong. I'm saying a lawyer obviously looked at what he had done and thought, if the DOJ gets in here, it's not going to be pretty. And it's possible to me, keep in mind, this appearance was recent. Let me look at the date. I think it was August. This appearance, August 22 was when it was put up. So I don't think it was, years ago. At most, it was late spring semester, March, April, May. But it could have been as late as August 22. But I keep playing these things because I'm racking my brain thinking, why is he dead? Why is he dead? I can't get over the fact that it had nothing to do with Tyler Robinson. I refuse to believe it. I've ruled that out. I'm no longer questioning it. I no longer consider it a possibility. I don't think that's I don't think that's foolish or premature. I'm not saying Tyler won't be convicted of it. I'm not saying Tyler won't take responsibility. I'm not saying Tyler won't fall on the sword. I'm not saying they don't have something on Tyler, that he's not going to proclaim himself guilty. We covered last night the guy who apparently is doing life in prison in Mexico on behalf of an ambassador who probably should have been doing life in prison. So does it happen? Sure. People are convinced all the time to do the prison sentences of other people. It happens. But that doesn't mean I'm ever going to buy that he did it. Unless I have, even with a video, man, with all the AI and all the CGI and all that, I don't even think a video is going to convince me. There's just too much going on. I don't know if you watched Candace's show tonight. She added additional things to her timeline. Her timeline now for the day before, the 2 days before Charlie Kirk passed away, it is getting so tight. We almost have a minute by minute account of where he was, who he was with, what they were talking about. It seems like he was in severe distress and was worried about dying soon. And he did. So maybe it was warranted. But if that's true, I have to look at appearances like this and saying, what was going on? Now, if he was afraid the Biden Justice Department might uncover crimes that would send him to jail, or at least be able to convince a jury that crimes were being done that would send him to jail, it's not just the Justice Department. They have to go convince ordinary people from a jury pool that you've done something worthy of spending your life in prison. He said the rest of his life in prison. He didn't say go to a minimum security prison. I mean, Elizabeth Holmes was convicted of defrauding people over $700 million, and she only got 11 years. Charlie just said in that clip right there, he was afraid he was going to spend the rest of his life in prison. What the hell are they doing? What are they discovering? I think it's related. Because I could see Charlie having a good enough conscience to say, not only are we going to stop this if Trump wins, not only are we going to stop it, we're taking a totally different direction. No more going to the next level with these people. We're not doing that anymore. Taking it to the next level only works when our guy's in the White House. You realize our guy's not always going to be in the White House. One day, eventually, it always flips back. And then what? I go to prison the rest of my life? No way. We're not doing it. And everyone around him is going, yeah, but we'll get rich. I mean, yeah, you might have to go to prison, Charlie. But I'll make millions. I feel bad for the guy. I've been asking myself over and over if it's possible that he just got duped. I'm not even going to say the name of the hustle witch, but with a B. I stole this from his Twitter feed. I could not find the original. It's very well hidden. But this is Charlie and Erika discussing when they got married. I referenced this the other night. I said I was going to try to track it down and play it. I finally found it. She struggles with dates. And I'm going to pull something else up in a minute that a listener sent me, and I have no idea who it was. It was a while back. I have no idea who it was, or I'd give you credit, I promise. But I want you to listen to this exchange and tell me how it affects you.
Well, this one's easy. How long have you been married, and when did you know it was time to get married?
We've been married since 2021. We laugh about this because our dates are so messed up because of babies. Meaning,
my dates are not messed up. I have 8 kids. My dates are not at all messed up. I have 8 children, and not one part of me has my dates messed up on the year I got married. And watch his face here. Watch his face. I'm going to hit mute here again because I don't know what this score is doing in the background. But watch his face in response to this. Because now she's going to trying to explain it. Just look at his face. Don't even worry about the sound. Did you see that? Eyes closed, head nod, just devastated. They were newlyweds. They were newlyweds. They just got married like 3 or 4 years before. We got married in 2020. I'm going to play this.
Anniversaries, like kids' birth
May
dates.
14th,
Yeah.
August
All the
23rd.
things. Yeah. She doesn't know. She gets confused by all of them, and he's over here like May 14, August 20. And so I saw that, and somebody sent me something pretty interesting, frankly. See if I can pull it up here. Yeah, there it is. Let me move it to this screen. Someone sent me something pretty interesting. I thought it was fascinating. She's not the only one in her family that has trouble keeping track of dates, because this is the divorce record from her parents. And if you look at the divorce record from her parents, right here it says they were married on November 20th, 1985. It's even corrected to 1985. It's handwritten correction to 1985. And it says she was born on November 22nd, 1988. The interesting thing about that is not her birthday. Allegedly, her birthday is November 20th. And then you go to this, and it says again, she was born November 22nd, 1988. This separation agreement says they only have one child, Erika Kirk, born November 22, 1988. But the petition, the decree rather, says they have two children, Erika Kirk and a emancipated child. Emancipate is not a word you use that just means adult. There's something going on in this family that precedes all of the fame and the fortune, and it's weird. It's really, really weird. And I'm going to show you something that's really weird to me. Now, this might just be too much. Maybe this is just the way kids are. But I'll say this. I have 8 of them. I have 8 kids. Things that have never happened to my kids. I've never looked at a baby picture and not recognized it. I'm going to show you a series of pictures here. This allegedly is Erika as a baby. This is a whole clip here about Erika as a child. This is allegedly Erika as a baby. So this is the baby picture. What do you notice here? I notice the baby has brown eyes. Not even light brown eyes. That's a pretty... I noticed this child has brown hair and brown eyes. And then we go forward a little bit, not too much longer. And now the kid has stark white toe hair. She's toe-headed. Back to there, back to there, back to there, back to there. I haven't run this through AI to say, is this the same child? But it doesn't strike me as the same child. It's weird. The whole thing is very weird. It's not until we get a little older does it even start to look like her. Like that looks like her, but that's not brown eyes. And unless you are frying how old is that kid? 4, 5? Unless you're frying your kid's hair, why is your hair color changing that rapidly between these two ages? They look roughly the same age, and I'm supposed to believe that's the same person. Again, I've got 8 children who have all had brown hair at one point in their life and all had shock blonde hair at one point in their life. And some of them, as they got older, their hair turned brown and dark again. Never did it happen between these two ages that drastically. Never one time did it happen between these two ages that drastically. Now, it's possible, I've not ruled out the fact that whoever this top famous tube is, who has this video, I've not ruled out the fact that they just got the wrong kids. Like, these are not the right kids. But all these are the same. All these pictures here are the same. These are all her. Right? This is all her. So why would these not be her? But I'm telling you, that doesn't look like her. And these two pictures right here, to me, are the dead giveaway. This picture and this picture. You'll never convince me that's the same kid. I don't know. Again, I have not gone through and vetted this. I was just honestly looking for pictures of her as a child for a specific reason. I'll just say it. I'm so weirded out by this family. I'm so weirded out by her lack of a consistent biographical narrative. I don't know where she grew up, who her real parents are. I mean, I'm just telling you guys, every piece and narrative of her story is a lie. I didn't date. Oh, except for all the guys I dated and potentially was engaged to. I didn't date, though. No, I wasn't dating when I was dating all those people, and I wasn't dating when I was engaged to all those people. The whole, I'm not a drinker. No, I don't drink. Well, except all the times you caught me on video getting sloshed with my buddies. And that did happen. I never lived in China, except for the times I told everybody I lived in China and lived in Puerto Rico and lived in Romania. You know who else had a weird childhood like that we couldn't really get a straight answer on? Barack Obama. Barack Obama had a very interesting childhood, a very interesting bringing up, where you couldn't tell anything that was true. You had no idea if what he was saying was accurate. And what you were left with but one conclusion. This family isn't normal. It looks nothing like his father, but he does look like a guy that hung around his mother a lot. I don't know where Erika came from. But I would not put money right now that she's the product of that marriage and that she was born even in this country. I wouldn't. Now, maybe there's a birth announcement out there that I haven't seen, but I've looked. Maybe there's some baby pictures out there that I haven't seen. Those are the only ones I found. I'm having a hard time believing the official narrative, which is this woman just came in to interview for a job with Charlie, and he was so captivated by her. Oh, my goodness. He just thought she was so beautiful. He just walked over there and said, you know what? I want to date you. I don't want you to work here. I want to date you instead. I'm having a really hard time believing it. Just like I'm having a hard time believing Bill Montgomery was just 72 years old. He was born in 1940. I said 62 the night that I was covering his weird story that I didn't believe. But he was born in 1940. So in 2012, this was a 72-year-old man who shows up on a college campus to hear college kids give tea party speeches. And it's not like a college campus in his hometown. He had to travel for this. In 1940, he was born. 2012, he shows up on the campus. 72 years old. He just happens to waltz in there, and he looks Charlie right in the eye, and he says, you can't go to college. You've got to start a youth organization. Well, he'd already started one. So that right there, it already breaks down. You can't go to college. You got to start a youth organization. And you and I, 72-year-old me and 18-year-old you, we're going to travel the country together. Huh? That's just very weird. And I cannot get over the fact that nobody's story lines up in his life. Nobody's. None of them line up. Erika's story didn't line up. Bill Montgomery's story doesn't make any sense. The fact that Erika shows up out of nowhere, having lived all over the world, Romania, China, Puerto Rico. Parents don't even know her birth date on the divorce record, even though they don't even know what date they got married. Those dates were both wrong. None of it makes any sense to me. It's just weird. It's just totally weird. And I want to get to the bottom of it. All right. Let me roll through some of your comments. I'm going to do a members show tomorrow. Not going to do an evening show tomorrow, but sometime in the afternoon I'm going to do a member show. I got a little driving around to do tomorrow. Not going to have time to prep for a show. Don't want to come on and just ramble. If I don't have something prepared, something interesting, I don't want to come on and just ramble around. So I'm going to do a member show tomorrow in the afternoon, and probably around, if I had to guess, 1:30, maybe 2 o'clock at the latest. And no, we're not having any interviewees on. That's we're going to take a break from interviewees on the members channel for a little while. So we'll that gives you kind of an idea where we're headed this week. Just to be clear, the protocol we're going with is Einstein, correct? As in E equals DC squared. That's good. I hadn't considered E equals DC squared. I'm going with Einstein just because I've taken a hit. I can feel it. I know that YouTube does not like us covering this subject. They just don't. And I've never, ever had as many people contact me and say, I cannot find your channel anymore. I can't find your show. It's not showing up in my notifications. I'm unsubscribed. Obviously, the moment you say the EP Stein word, YouTube takes offense. And I'm not going to stop covering it. I'm just telling you, we're going to have to be cautious with how we say it. I answered this earlier, but I'll answer it here on camera. Do I believe Bitcoin is here to stay 10 years from now, 1,000 a coin or 500,000 a coin? My best guess is contingent, because right now the Bitcoin Foundation has an answer they have to provide to me before I'll ever trust Bitcoin again. Do you remember the Colonial Pipeline hack a few years ago? Colonial Pipeline was hacked in a way. It did not stop the oil from flowing. This might be a little obscure. Maybe I'll pull it up and show it to you what happened. It was hacked, and they demanded a Bitcoin ransom to get it back online. I'll pull up a story on it here. Yeah, here we go. This is the Colonial Pipeline hack. If you don't remember it, I'll do 2 minutes on it so that you know what I'm talking about, because I think it's important to the future of Bitcoin. What we've learned and what we've done over the past 2 years. This is the CISA director and the chairman and CEO of Southern Company. This is the power company that did it. So May 7, 2021, a ransomware attack on Colonial Pipeline captured headlines around the world, with pictures of snaking lines of cars at gas stations across the eastern seaboard. Panicked Americans filling bags with fuel, fearful of not being able to get to work, get their kids to school. So here's what happened. Let's see if they even mentioned Bitcoin in here. No, they don't. There was a ransomware attack. And I've talked to somebody who worked at Colonial, who told me they actually could give gas. They actually could continue pumping gas out of the system, but they weren't able to track who was getting it, and they weren't going to be able to charge for it. So they just shut the system down. That's maybe a little inside baseball. That's my understanding of what happened. I'm not stating as fact, but that's what someone there told me, that this hack stopped their ability to track who was getting what. And so rather than give away free gas, they just shut it off. It caused a gasoline disruption all over the eastern seaboard for several days. They finally, I believe, paid the Bitcoin ransom. And after they paid the Bitcoin ransom, here's the interesting thing. I think they went and clawed it back. Now, this is something that was never supposed to be allowed to happen. Once the Bitcoin is transferred, it's done. They always tell you, oh, there's additional blocks and you'd have to reset all the blocks. We never got an explanation for how that Bitcoin got back out of the hacker's account and back into whoever paid the ransom. That's when I lost faith in Bitcoin. I sold mostly all my Bitcoin not too long after that, because it told me there was a vulnerability in the system, that what we were told about Bitcoin wasn't actually true, that appeared to be some kind of a back door. And if there's a back door, I don't want a part of it, because the whole point of it is you can't steal it. That in order to steal it, you have to have the private keys. And so until someone provides me a legitimate explanation of what happened with the Colonial Pipeline Bitcoin, how it was recovered, I'm out. And I know a lot of other people are buying a lot of Bitcoin. Have fun. But I know this. From the Einstein Files the last few days, we now know who controls the Bitcoin Foundation. It's Einstein's team. About 75% of all the Bitcoin code has been written after he took over, essentially directing the foundation. I don't know that I want to invest in something he was in charge of. And so I think until the foundation is somehow neutralized from this insider interference, I don't know that I want to play ball with it. And I don't. So that to me is the answer to the question. Does it survive? I think it depends. If the foundation is somehow freed and the promise of Bitcoin being a neutral store of value is once again restored. But keep in mind, it was never supposed to be a store of value. It was supposed to be a payment system. It was designed as a peer-to-peer payment system that would bypass cash. But what happened was it became too expensive to transfer. It became too complex. And so people are like, well, let's just use it as a store of value. Well, as a store of value, it has almost no value to me. None. Because something's only worth what someone's willing to pay you for. That's not a store of value. It has no industrial application. At least gold and silver have industrial application. Push comes to shove, people have to build stuff with it. People like wearing jewelry. People like using gold in fancy electronics and sensitive equipment. People need silver for fancy electronics. And so there's a market for gold and silver that exists outside of the store of value. There is no market for Bitcoin outside of the store of value. And because of that, I look at it and think, I don't know that I'm interested in it. Now, what's my go-to for workout music? That's a different question. And I think I answered it by saying if it's a short workout, like 6, 7, 8 minutes or less, I want something quick, bouncy, Guns N' Roses, Korn, Rage Against the Machine. I want something angry. If it's a longer workout, 15, 20 minutes, if it's a grinder, I want something a little more fun, something a little more upbeat, a little more catchy, something I can kind of get lost in and not get too overly animated. So there's the answer to your question. Thank you for your generous donation. I hope my Bitcoin explanation made sense. Biron, do we know who is Ken Turner and where do you think he is now? He's dead. I think he died of natural causes, but he's dead. He was like 70 years old at the time. I think he died at like age 75. Not terribly long ago, but he's dead. But I don't know why he was down there investigating in Mexico. No, I don't know the answer to that. But yeah, I don't think he's among the living anymore. Love your show. You're my number one. After seeing examples of JG's behavior pattern for him on Blake's show last night, how can we, the jury, believe any of his evidence that Cullen is okay? Be careful of him. I mean, you don't have to believe him. You don't have to believe him, but this is not the first time Cullen's disappeared. This is a pattern. He disappears, he goes. I don't know if he's taking care of his folks, if he's, got a side job. I don't know what he's doing, but this is not unusual. I think he comes and goes. So, that's kind of the evidence for me that he's probably okay, is that this is not way out of the realm of normal for him. Candace is anointed. God says, touch not my anointed. Her show today was buzzing with God's spirit. Thank you. And her, you're doing God's work. Well, thank you for that kind vote of confidence. Thank you for that vote of confidence. I had a conversation, was it yesterday? Yeah, I had a conversation yesterday with somebody about how underestimated Candace is. Someone who knows her very well, knows her much better than I do. And I said, what's I like to ask people questions. What's your kind of number one thing you hear about Candace that you just don't believe? And the answer was pretty obvious, that she's somehow like half cocked and crazy. No, she holds back. Maybe that's the reason people have that impression. She holds back. A lot of the stuff she said about Charlie, I know for a fact she's held back on. A lot of the things she said that make people think she's nuts, I know for a fact she's held back on. I've seen it with my own two peepers. And I think it's not to her detriment. I think she's doing it for a reason. But I think it allows this notion to persist that she's somehow flying off half-cocked. I don't believe that's true. Bar Ron. Ever heard the song I Never Said That? Red Words by Josh M? I don't think so. If not, check it out. It's amazing, and it hits the soul. God is great, and keep being awesome. Well, thank you. I thank you for that recommendation. Many overlook a key motive. CK said in his text, I won't be bullied anymore. No choice but to leave the pro-Israel cause. But his next text, he said, I'm going to invite Candace to Amfest. That is what really enraged the bullies. Keep in mind, it wasn't just Candace. It was Candace. It was Tucker. It was Marjorie Taylor Greene. I mean, again, anyone who thinks Tyler Robinson did this while all this was just happening to take place at the same time, and he's happening to text people at the same time saying, I think someone's going to kill me. He wasn't worried about the furry community, ladies and gentlemen. He wasn't worried about a guy that dressed like a wolf, I can assure you. That wasn't on his mind. That was not on his mind. Maybe somebody worried about somebody blowing a shofar. Is there a valid legal reason why they would redact the names of Einstein associates in the files? Or they just protect? Yeah, they're just protecting themselves. The order was that they redact the victims' names. That was the order. I saw today where they came out and said there's no more releases coming. They've done their job. Yeah, you have only released half the information. And the information you've released is horrific. So what are you holding back? Like, the information has you, like, people are eating entrails. And that's not an exaggeration. And they're not animals' entrails. So what are you holding back? What's worse than that? I can't imagine anything worse than that. But apparently, that's small potatoes. That made it through. Today I had a light bulb moment. The music industry is for drug and weapons trafficking. Mega churches for human trafficking and money laundering. Hollywood is for gaslighting. Government is covered. Interesting. I had this exact conversation today relative to TPUSA with somebody about how I believe I'm coming to the conclusion it was a trafficking organization. And a lot of these organizations are trafficking organizations. Man, I ran down a rabbit trail. I got to pull this down for a second. Thank you for your donation. Very generous. I ran down a rabbit trail on another charity. I'm not going to talk about it on here. I did a lot of research. I mean, I spent a couple dozen hours researching this charity because someone told me there was something to it and it was bad and all this stuff. And so I dug into it and I looked and looked and looked. And it's not, to me, it's not newsworthy. I mean, is there some weird stuff with the money? Sure. But I mean, there's whatever. It's not what I was told. But as I was looking at it, I thought, gosh, if I was going to launder money, or if I was going to launder drugs or weapons, a charity like this is exactly what I would use. Tax-free money. What's the problem with laundering money or laundering, getting... So here's how money laundering works. This may be remedial for some of you criminally minded people, but for the rest of you, this will be a good explanation. I have an all-cash business. I stockpile $2 million, $3 million. Paper money's pretty worthless. I've got to turn it into digital currency, meaning I've got to get it into a bank. If I show up at a bank with $3 million in paper cash, it's going to raise some eyebrows. I'm going to have some explanation to do. And so I've got to slowly feed that money in. But the bigger problem isn't even the explaining to the bank executives who are asking me why I'm bringing in duffel bags full of cash. Where did I get it? That's not even the bigger problem. The bigger problem is I got to pay taxes on all that money. So my $2 million just became $1 million. I got to pay 35, 40% for federal taxes. I got to pay some self-employment tax. I got to pay state taxes. I might have franchise and excise taxes in my state, depending on where I am, how my business is structured. By the time you show up to the bank with $4 million, it might look like less than $2 million. And a lot of people don't want to pay that penalty just to turn paper money into digital money. But what if I don't have to pay taxes? What if I can just turn it into nonprofit money? And if it's nonprofit money, what if I don't have to accept paper currency? Like your local drug dealer has to run a tattoo shop or something, right? Hire a couple tattoo artists, and then he puts a sign on the wall that says cash only. And so somebody shows up and they buy a bunch of drugs. They give him $10,000 in cash, and now he's got a good explanation when he goes to the bank and gives them $10,000 in cash. I run a cash-only business. I bring cash in all the time. We just had a really good weekend. But if you're talking about laundering large-scale things, you've got to have an operation that can take in tremendous quantities of money. Like if you go to your bank and say, I want to wire Baron Coleman $2 million, they're going to say, the hell you doing? Now there's this paper trail between us. But if you go to your bank and say, I want to wire TPUSA $2 million for a charitable contribution, they go, oh, how nice of you. You must really love the Lord. You must really love libertarian economics. That's so kind. And then TPUSA goes out and says, we're going to spend a bunch of marketing money. Nobody's going to ask any questions about that. We're going to hire some fundraisers. And they're going to take a third off the top. No one's going to raise any questions about that. And so you've got this vehicle. This is part of what I think might have been going on. You've got this vehicle where there are millions of dollars flowing in and millions of dollars flowing out in these vague categories that show up on 990s. Now you begin to see what the Doge effort might have been about. What are we spending all this money on? Where is all this money going? And now you might see why, if he's interested in where all this money's going, why somebody might not want him around to get the answer. And you take the show on the road. You go to Riverside, California. You take your security team, you take your private planes. Now you can move stuff all over the country. And you don't have to have airport security asking what's in your bag. You just throw it on your private plane. You walk right out to the tarmac with it. You see how this begins to look like some sort of an operation that might not just be preaching the gospel on college campuses. Sure, the founder might think that's what's happening. But there was a bunch of money rolling through here. And a lot of these charities are this way. There's a bunch of money rolling through here. It's like artwork. You think rich people really pay $20 million to have a piece of painting on their wall? $50 million? You think the NFT transfers were really about somebody who wanted a digital copy of a monkey? So they paid $50 million for someone to give them a digital copy of a monkey? Really? You really think that's what that was about? No. You really think these people are just so interested in Christianity being preached on college campuses that they're handing $10 and $20 million to a guy in his 20s so that he can take his traveling gospel circuit around to all these college campuses and all his fleet of private planes that fly in for the event? I don't for a second believe it. There's not any part of me that believes that's what this was about. And the more of these charities you look at, particularly the ones that just run through money, I mean, just fly through money, and you've never even heard of them. You know, there's charities you haven't heard of that are very active, that are running through 10, 20, 30, 40, $50 million a year or more, maybe $100 million. You've never heard of them. They got a few donors. They give a bunch of money. And when you go pull their 990s, they've got like $17 million marketing buys. Well, it's hard for me to believe there's a charity spending $17 million on marketing that I've never heard of. I live my life online. I look at advertisements all the time. I'm aware of what these guys are doing. I'm aware of who the major players are. I see charities that only spend $2 million on marketing, and I'm inundated with their ads. You're running a charity spending 8 figures on ads, and I've never heard you exist? Never gotten a mailer from you? Never got an email? And that's the biggest concern I have with how much money was going into the pockets of actual TPUSA employees. Now, I'm not accusing them of this. I'm just raising the possibility that this is what it would look like if this was some sort of money laundering operation, if it was a trafficking organization, whether it's humans, drugs, guns, I don't know. I don't even know if it was any of them. Maybe they were just honestly really exuberant about preaching free market economics all over the country. And maybe that's why Erika is so panicked about making sure this organization continues, because she just loves the fact that college students might vote for Republicans. Like that's like, she just cannot get enough of that. Even though TPUSA is a nonprofit and is not supposed to be telling people to vote for, but that's what we think of when we think of TPUSA. It's just me talking out loud. This is what goes through my head when I wake up at 2 a.m. I think if you look through the 990s of not just TPUSA, but a lot of these charities, a lot of the really big ones, particularly the ones that travel a lot, particularly the ones that take multiple private planes to different locations. We may have answered the question why they can't fly coach. Because you know what happens when you fly coach? You got to check your bag. It's got to go through the scanner. You got to show an ID for who gets on the plane. They know. You got to buy a ticket. There's a record of it. American Airlines keeps a record of who was on that plane, what seat they sat in. They go through and they make a mark if you didn't show up. And so you begin to establish some kind of a pattern, particularly around the fundraising. When you have millions of dollars coming in and the people who are transferring the money take huge percentages of it out of the business, and that's what was happening at TPUSA. To me, it raises the suspicion that there's something more going on here. And maybe that's why you have the tour events. Maybe that's why you travel so much. Because you've got to be able to put private planes. Maybe that's why you carry so much security. Because you got to have a lot of armed people with you. You got to make sure your planes are well guarded. You got to have a lot of really burly guys, ex-Marines, Army guys. You got to have some ex-cops. Know how the system works. Everybody's got to carry a gun. That's my light bulb moment that I had. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this age, against spiritual hosts of wickedness in the heavenly place. Yeah, that's true. I could not agree more with what you just said. Absolutely agree. Far be it for me to argue with Paul. I was quoting from Paul last night, telling people Paul's the guy. And trust me, as a Catholic, that's hard to do sometimes. Thank you for the response to my previous super chat. Interesting about Bitcoin. As for the workout info, love it. I'm a Creed Lincoln Park POD guy. Thank you, Baron. I know how old you are. I know how old you are based on that playlist. You are 38 years old. Everyone subscribe. Let's surprise Baron with 200,000 a night. No more deserving of a high IQ sub count than him. Where are we right now? I haven't looked. Oh, don't make me. Come on. Don't make me install something. Ugh. It still want me to install that latest update that had the squirrely stuff. Oh, we're not even to 199 yet. We're at 198, 968. We're more than 1,000 people away, guys. Don't get carried away. I'd love to see you there if we make it. I rewatched Blake Bednar's live from last night. I was literally sick to my stomach listening to the voicemails left by Jason Goodman. My heart breaks for what BB has been through. Not that BB. Not that BB. Talking about Blake Bednar's. I'll withhold trashing JG, but can you assure us BB is safe? Oh, yeah, he's safe. He's fine. He's fine. Let me say this about that. The whole, and thank you, Joel. This is a very generous donation. The whole creator class going after each other is nauseating to me. It happens to me. You get people, they say bad things. Oh, he does this. Oh, he does that. Oh, he represented this guy. Whatever, man. I don't care what you put on your channel. Like, I may or may not watch it. If I like it, I will. And I watch quite a few creators. But if I don't like it, I just look past it. Like, I just go on and watch something else. Like, could you imagine Roseanne Barr, like, trashing Tim Allen back in the day? Tim Allen. Why would you watch his show? You know what he did in his day? He was arrested. Wasn't he arrested for drugs or something? We're going to hold that against Tim Allen? He's hilarious. His show was great. Tim the Toolman Taylor. 8 p.m. start time tonight. What? Were you busy cleaning TPUSA toilets again? No, I wasn't. That was 8 p.m. Eastern time, by the way. No, I wish you could see my office right now. There's a lot going on in here. If you want to make any improvements to improve things, to fix the sound issues, to fix lighting a little bit, to better utilize a very, very small space. If you get a quote for it, you'll fall down on your backside. You got to do it yourself. So I spent some time today doing it myself. And as a result, I was not able to get an earlier start. Baron, I feel like you become close family. I'm more familiar with your clothing than I am of my own children. Well, let me refresh. Let me assure you, you're familiar with mine because I just wear the same stuff. Like, I just wear the same hoodies over and over. I got 10 or 12 of them, and I just rotate them through. I'm doing my best over here. Yes, Joey. Thank you. Fellow Catholic here, what's your favorite thing about the Catholic faith? God bless you, and praying for you. God always wins. I like the historicity of it, man. I really do. There's a lot. There's like, pick your favorite kid, right? You know, you like them all. I like the historicity of it. That's probably my favorite part. The historical nature of it. That it, the unbroken lineage. That's it. Just wanted to send a super chat to support my favorite creator. Hope it's okay for the low IQs to be a part of this high IQ outfit. Love the content. God bless. All are welcome. There's no IQ test to get in here, but I can assure you, if you're here, it's a high. You have a high IQ. Gosh darn it! I guess Daffodil Yellow for the past 4 shows, and it was late today. Sorry, Kate. Won't happen again. I can assure you, ladies and gentlemen. This is not the T Swift. This is a different T. This is TD Swift. Don't want anyone confused about who's watching the program. Breaking news: I found JO 2.0. Who's JO? I kindly extend an invitation to purchase her own copy of Introduction. Oh, Joe 2.0. Maybe we can whip Joe 2.0 into shape. Definitely not qualified for our high IQ outfit. Well, she will be if she pays attention. If she keeps watching, she will be. Like the way I'm just sharing with you the way I view the world. Rubber ducky yellow. Not rubber ducky yellow. It's not yellow snow hoodie. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. My dog had little yellow spots in the snow the last week. It's been a weird weather week, by the way. Baron, Bitcoin expert, did you know that 75? Yes, I even said that a little bit ago. 75% of the code was written after Epstein co-opted the board through financial leverage. No, they're not joined. It's different. Joined makes it seem like he was invited. And join makes it seem like everyone was like, oh, it would be a really great idea if Jeffrey Epstein would get involved. How was the Continental Pipeline ransom tracked down and returned? Looks like Bitcoin is compromised. Well, that's a great question. That's what I raised. Tim Hester Trent. You may have read my answer in the above super chat that was posted before the program, where I wrote in there that I thought I wasn't going to trust Bitcoin unless the Colonial Pipeline thing was explained. I don't know. It reminds me of the San Bernardino terrorist attack, where they were able to hack into the iPhones after they assured us you couldn't hack into an iPhone. And then everyone's like, well, you can hack into anything. And then they released the Vault 7 thing, and you find out they can hack into your microwave, your TV, your computer, like your Word. There's nothing safe, ladies. Absolutely nothing safe. That's why I'm always weirded out. I'm always not weirded out, but I'm always amused when people are like, I won't email you on a Gmail account. They can be hacked. There's nothing you can email me on that can't be hacked. If it goes over the internet, it can be read. I don't care what crypt this or crypt that you say. It was all invented by the same people. My husband's family is Catholic, but he did not grow up in the church. We are currently non-denomination. We feel God has been calling us to the Catholic Church lately. Lots of signs after much prayer. Well, give it a look. Give it a look. I encourage you to give it a try if you feel like you're being called. Tonight, I was able to put my ADHD kid to bed just in time to join my favorite podcaster. They can't sit still. The irony. I love your show. Hey, let me tell you something. Somebody emailed me. No, they didn't email. It was a comment I got on one of the programs a week or so ago. I can't watch your show unless you calm down. You move too much. You're itching your face. Don't watch. Like, this is who you get me. I'm not going to become someone different for this show. You get me. The same me that goes out there and eats dinner with my kids. This is who you get. I wiggle. Would you do a poll to see how many of us were at the CK event? I was, but I was late. I was by the Losi building when Big Bang happened. For 2 days before, I was overwhelmed with anxiety. I saw people show great care for strangers. I want to know all the good people were there. Well, that's an interesting one. Maybe I'll open the next show with that poll, Helga. You were by the Losi Center? Can you email me and put just all caps Helga in the subject matter line? I would be very interested in talking to you. Because there are people who are convinced that there was no shot from the Losi Center. And I would be curious your take, since you were by the Losi Center. What did you see? What did you hear? How loud was it? Did it sound like it came right above you? I would be interested. If you'll email me, I would really appreciate that. I seem to be invisible everywhere I comment, just checking to see if anyone can see me. By the way, I love this high IQ crew. I can see you. I see you, CDC dogs. What's a CDC dog? I don't even know what that is. So many podcasters have issues with sounds going mute and videos going out and computers possibly being hacked, possibly a Philadelphia attack. Crossed my mind. I will say this. My main screen has never had problems except for the last few days. And it has been shutting down on and off during the day. Never once during a show, but multiple times during the day. I don't know what that means. Eyes are the gateway to the soul, Erika. May St. Michael watch over you as you battle these vicious demons. Stay strong, stay faithful, stay golden, pony boy. You're a fan of The Outsiders. My kids had to read that last year. Always great, brother. Have you ever looked into the theology of Jehovah's Witnesses? Keep up the good, high IQ work. I have not. I've run into them on my front porch a few times. But as soon as you tell them Catholic, they leave. I'm sorry, we're Catholic. Would you like to go to church with us? Have a good day, sir. They're not into us. I realize we're talking in code now. You're so hilarious and fun. I am all in. What do you like it as the modern day neuralizer? Mainstream news, social media, make Ray-Bans great again. What's a neuralizer? Neuralizer. Oh, the Men in Black device. The modern day neuralizer is, if I had to pick one, I would say the shills, like the Dan Bonginos of the world. I mentioned Allie Beth Stuckey earlier, Mark Levin, Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh, the whole Daily Wire crew, essentially. Gary. Sorry, Gary. I think that's it. They try to put out enough content that they convince you the world is a certain way and that you can't believe what your own eyes are showing you. Like, you can look at Candace's timeline minute by minute of the last couple of days of Charlie Kirk's life, and you can somehow be confused and somehow think, no, it was probably a kid dressed like a wolf. The Lord Jesus is not divided. So says John 17. True believers do not belong to version of truth. There's only one gospel. It is neither Catholic nor Protestant. Look, I'm not going to argue with you about the basics. I don't want to argue religion if I can avoid it. I'm happy to answer anyone's questions. If anyone has a question that you think I can answer on a theological basis, that's fine. But I don't want to just argue with you. Like, I have a thought about that, but I'm not going to argue with you. I just want to bless your life a little. Tell you it's a petite Macron, not Brigitte's little Macron. Oh, she got a petite Macron. Actually, it's French. Is that petit? Little petit Macron? Little petit Macron? You're welcome. Tried to say it last night. Well, I heard it tonight. So it worked. Jesus loves you. Yes, Helga Shugga Lugga Ding Dong. Listen, Helga, let me tell you something. I have trouble with Jesus loves you and ding dong in the same message. If I'm being honest. Father Bayron Kline, high IQ outfit from Philadelphia. Which Philadelphia are we talking about? Is it minty fresh over there? Or is it smell like urine? Well, they might both smell like urine. I don't know. Hey, Baron, you're the best. I set my timer for your live and it failed me. Lemon drop yellow. I hope you're talking about the candy lemon drops, not the alcoholic beverage. Well, Ledenboro, you need a better timer. I don't know what to tell you. Maybe you got hacked. Is it possible that God, Jesus, doesn't care where we find him, just that we do? Well, of course it is. I mean, that's obviously the goal. Thank you. Born again forever. Thank you. The call with Father makes me think they had Catholic funeral to get big Catholic dollar donors, unfortunately. Woo. I do wonder if there's a donor angle to the to Father Kline. I hate to say that, but I call things like I see it. I'm not one of those people that's going to BS you just because someone's purportedly on my team. If I see something, I'm going to say it. Baron, great opening statement. My wife and I are admittedly Catholic curious as of late. We have a church that we love. So be interested to know if you had any recommendations for books that might help. I always recommend Rome Sweet Home as a first step, Mr. Lamb Rocker. Rome Sweet Home is, particularly if you're a Protestant looking in, it's a guy named Scott Hahn wrote it. He's sort of I'm trying to think of a Protestant equivalent. I can't think of one. He's sort of the digestible theologian of the Catholic Church, of the modern Catholic Church. He's probably, I don't know, in his 70s by now. But he is I've seen him speak live. He's captivating. He's got a great affect. He's very readable. He's very accessible. His speeches, if you just Google him, you probably could Google Rome Sweet Home Scott Hahn and find an abbreviated version on YouTube. But it's worth the read. It's definitely worth the read. But Scott Hahn is one of those people that, I don't want to say he's the superstar, but if you're like a local Catholic charity and you put Scott Hahn on there, you're selling out. That's just going to happen. Hit that like button and subscribe for more high IQ content. Baron, you are the best hoodie salesman Adidas ever knew they had. Reading Rome Sweet Home. It's very compelling. Christ is King. Christ is King indeed, Anthony. Now that you guys, I just mentioned the book moments ago, like literally a minute ago. I know you saw that. Barrett, I think Father Kline thought he was being asked if EK's spiritual director. He probably feels like he's under spiritual media attack. I don't think so, because he has said, I'm advising you. I advise thousands of people. That does not sound like spiritual. I don't know any spiritual director that has thousands of people he directs. Most spiritual directors only have a handful. Or, not thousands. So, and certainly not some random guy on the phone would be considered being directed. So I don't know that I agree with that. But that doesn't mean that I think you're horrible and hate you. Father Kline's one of the best priests in the greater Phoenix area. I've talked to one of his parishioners who agrees. I mean, I'm telling you, I don't just go off half-cocked. I've talked to one of his parishioners at St. Bernadette there who agrees. He's amazing, which is why I'm shocked by that performance, frankly. Most likely protecting the privacy of a public figure family. Think of him as one of your favorite priests, as that is who he is to those of us who live here. Trev Bob, I've heard nothing but positive things. I've heard he's a great homilist, a great, caring, loving man, and a straight shooter. That's why I was just concerned by the answers, because the answers did not match up with that. It's just I don't know. Just answer the question. Best way to talk to someone is to answer what they say. Don't answer a question they didn't ask. The local priest of Erika Kirk sounds like he is hedging or has been cautioned not to give out information. He sounds combative, like he's been warned, perhaps by EK. I think priests, pastors, local members of congregations also can be awestruck or starstruck. I don't know that it has to be an overt warning so much as a just desire to stay in good with the cool kids. And I mean, that's kind of the impression I got from him. Like, he knows a lot more, but he also knows what they want him to say, and he's going to say it. That's the impression I got. Catholic school, Jesuit high school, they didn't prepare us for why we're so hated by some Christians. Aren't we all on the same side? Issues that caused the schism have been addressed in Indulgence of the Saints. So the schism was the split with the Orthodoxy, and that was over the line in the creed where they talk about the Holy Spirit proceeds from the Father and the Son. That's the Catholic version, or the Father through the Son. That's the Orthodox version. So that's the schism issue. I think what you're talking about is the Reformation. And the Reformation, I mean, I know indulgences is a common refrain of attack, but the Reformation was really about justification more than indulgences or saints or even Mary or anything else. It was about justification. When are you justified and how? That, I think, has been resolved. I don't know that they disagreed at the time, but it's certainly been resolved since then. Justification is through grace alone. You cannot merit it. You cannot earn it. Justification is through grace alone. And that is probably the biggest misunderstanding with the modern Catholic Church is non-Catholics often believe that we don't believe that. And we do. And we do. Is it true the Anglican Church was created in order for King Henry VIII could get a divorce? Well, that's what they say, even Anglicans. So I believe it's true. I wasn't there. It was in the 1500s. How can the Pakistani guy you mentioned in the opening say the church had gotten away from its roots regarding marriage then? I think he was talking more about tab A and slot B, if you know what I mean. Like, for me to get electricity out of that plug down there on the floor, I've got to put something pointy into the receptacle. If I put two pointy things against each other, I don't get electricity. If I put two plugs into it, they don't get electricity. The only way to make the magic happen is to get the plug into the hole. And I think that's what he was talking about when they said they'd gotten away from the roots regarding marriage. I think it was tab A into slot B. That's all I can say. BC, Don Kline looks like your long lost brother. You're calling me fat? I got to work out more. I'm going back to the gym tonight. When I get off, I'm going to go run 1,000 miles. Sorry for missing yesterday due to watching Nefarious. Husband isn't interested in CK theories. Well, maybe he's interested in Nefarious. So sounds like time well spent. You can always catch up on the replay. Baron, please have Blake Bednarz on the show. I have had Blake Bednarz on the show. I have had him on the show. And he had a whole show last night where he defended himself on his own show. You're honest, consistent, and fair. Blake deserves to have you and the audience hear his side. I've had him on the show, and I thought he did a fair job, and he did put it on X today. There are plenty of places people can go. I did not put him on the main program. He was on the members program. I can tell you exactly how many people saw it, and I think more people have seen Blake's show from last night. So I'm not using my. I even told Jason that I'm not using my show to mediate a debate. You should have a debate and mediate people. No, I'm not going to do that. You guys, I don't want creators fighting with each other. I don't want Jason and Blake fighting. I don't want Henshaw getting involved in it. I don't want any of these other people getting involved in it. It's not necessary. Just do your show. So, that's kind of my thought. Baron, I'm so glad you brought up Bishop Brennan's statement about Charlie. Many of us in and around Fresno heard about this. This Father Kline, and sounds incredibly sketchy. I will agree it sounded sketchy. I don't know that he's sketchy, and that's kind of where I'm going down the road. I don't think he did himself any favors by refusing to answer the question. I think had he answered the questions, though, he might have undermined the common understanding around TPUSA people about Charlie's involvement. And that's where I'm going, if you want to know. That's where I'm going. I'm not blaming him. I'm saying he didn't do himself any favors. But we're going to get to the bottom of it. Is it too soon? I don't know what that means. Being Catholic was an issue for donors. Why wouldn't it be the same issue for EK being Catholic and running the company? Because she doesn't tell people. And she was born that way, so there's no conversion necessary. She can just quietly go to Mass. Charlie would actually have to convert, and that would draw headlines. People would know. So I think that's the biggest difference between the two. Father Don Kline kind of looks like a budget baron. I'm not eating anymore, guys. Let me pull that picture back up. Do you really believe that? I feel bad right now. I don't even remember the name of the place that had it. Oh, there it is. Sword Truth. Where is he? Where is he? Come on, Sword Truth. Don't let me down. Don't let me down, Sword Truth. Where was it? Oh, there it is. You think that looks like me? Yeah, maybe. I guess you're kind of right. The more I look at it. Oh, no. Oh, no. It's true. I'll make it even worse. I'll put the glasses on. Oh, I'm doomed. Oh, no. Padre, say it ain't so. I'm going to put his picture down, guys. This is me. This isn't him. This is back to me. Notice there's no Roman collar. If I catch Father Kline in a hoodie, we're going to fight. I can't have him out there disparaging the family name. Oh, no, it's awful. I'm just kidding. He's a handsome man. Good looking man. Baron, please explain why the Catholic Church changed the Sabbath from Saturday to Sunday by Council of Laodicea, Canon 29363, found in the Convert's Catechism. It's a great question. One would argue that they didn't. That the Sabbath remains Saturday, but it is observed or particularly observed. Again, man's not made for the Sabbath. Man's not made for the Sabbath. Sabbath was made for the man. Do you remember the story of Jesus? He's walking down the path. It's a good question. Thank you for it. Jesus walking down the path, and it's Saturday, and he picks some wheat off of. He's passing by a wheat field or whatever, and he picks the wheat off, and he kind of rubs the chaff off, and and they're like, "Oh, he's violating the Sabbath. He's farming." And Jesus had to say, hey, don't get carried away. the Sabbath was made so that we would reflect and rest. We were not intended to add a bunch of rules on top of it. And me walking down the street hungry and just grabbing an apple off of a tree is not farming. It's not interrupting my ability to rest and commune with God. And so I think what the church says is, and the vast majority of Christians agree with this, is that if you then rest and refresh on Sunday instead of Saturday, you've basically just transferred the rest. The Sabbath still exists. It's just celebrated on a day other than Saturday. In other words, there's nothing particularly special about Saturday. And Sunday made sense because if you read through the New Testament, it talks about how they started meeting on the first day of the week, which also made sense because they couldn't get out on the Saturday. So if they were going to get out and go to people's houses and not draw attention to themselves, they had to do it on a day when everybody else was kind of hanging back at home. It also made sense because Jesus resurrected on the Sunday. So like on the first day of the week. So like, hey, first day of the week, let's get together. Sing some songs. Have a laser light show. I'm just kidding. They didn't. They didn't have electricity. They couldn't do that. No fog machines. Nobody on trapezes. No rock and roll. I'm just messing with busting your chops, guys. Just busting your chops. I think that's the official position. Let me look up the Sabbath in the Catechism real quick and see. And speaking of the Sabbath, yeah, okay. Sabbath also reveals the day of memorial. Yeah. I think that's probably the official position, but I don't know it off the top of my head. I mean, but that's the way it's always been explained to me. And you know what? I'll be honest with you. The Seventh-day Adventists, I had a priest say this, a guy named Father Carucci, a brilliant priest, amazing man, wonderful human being. Father David Carucci, he's great. But he said, nobody ever points out that the Seventh-day Adventists are the only ones who like perk their heads up and like, hey, why'd they change the Sabbath? Why'd they move it? Everybody else just kind of went along with it because Catholics had established it for 1,500 years before they showed up. Look who controls the money, medicine, military, politics, food, and entertainment in the world. Coincidence? Not even close. JC needs to send the asteroid already. Well, that's an interesting take. Do you think asteroids can make it here? Do you think an asteroid capable of destroying Earth could hit Earth? Interesting thought experiment. I think the answer is no. And if we ever find out I'm wrong, we won't know it because Earth will be gone. But I think the answer is no. I've got an explanation for all the times you guys think it happened. You said that maybe Charlie was trying to be all things to all people with regards to the confusion about people's thoughts on his faith. That reminded me of the Texas A&M video where he said he wanted a Texas A&M to win the SEC again. Yeah, they've never won it. I don't think that's the case. I just wonder, right? Because, I'm just raising it as a possibility. I'm thinking of all the reasons why a parish priest might say, I'm not aware he was converting or interested in converting or close to converting. And a bishop in another diocese would say, oh, yeah, he told me he was this close. And I just, among the possibilities are one of them's not telling the truth. Either the parish priest is not telling the truth or the bishop's not telling the truth. Or Charlie might have shaded the conversation based on who he was around. He wouldn't be the first to do that. And I don't know which of those things is true. What I know is not true is that he would be that close to converting, I don't think, with his parish priest not aware it was happening. That would be very unusual, I think. Relay on Netflix is a must-watch for this well-researched truth-seeking group. Duly noted. Continue. But Catholic doctrine, CK observed the Sabbath is in our Bible, is commanded by the fourth commandment. We also observe the Sabbath on Saturday. Who's we? Lots of people observe the Sabbath on Saturday. I used to work at a law firm, and I was the only non-Jewish person there. And I didn't pick up on it right away. Why everybody cut out at like 3 o'clock on Friday. And then it dawned on me one day, wait a minute, this is the only law firm I've ever been in that nobody works on Saturday. Like all law firms have people show up on Saturday morning. You know, it's like showing they really care about their job. You got to make an appearance like once every month or two, at least on a Saturday. And they never did. Like they were shut down on Saturday. And then they invited me to one of their Friday dinners. And I was like, aha, I know what you guys are doing. I know what you're doing back there. 4chan adjacent. What are your opinions of Christian? Never heard of it. Oh, Christian? Oh, Christian. Never heard of Christian. My first super chat ever. You are so bad, a crooked letter. You have quickly become a favorite. Thank you for all your hard work. Well, thank you, Shea. And thank you for that. Or Shay. Is it Shea? Shea? Shalona? Thank you. I genuinely appreciate that. I'm in leadership for a Catholic organization, and on Friday, I started receiving emails from the Daily Wire Plus. I did not subscribe to this. Coincidence? I think not. Holy crap, an ad for Daily Wire just popped up while typing this. Yikes. You're doomed. You are doomed, Chillier. I hate to be the one to break it to you, but you are toast. You are absolutely toast. In leadership for a Catholic organization. That's interesting. Wonder what Catholic organization. Roses Engelman. Baron, if Charlie wanted to be Catholic, but knew EK was a honey trap, as long as he's outside the church, he could divorce her. What if Father Kline knew all about them? That's a little more complex than that. You can't just divorce people just because you're not Catholic. I mean, he would still have to get an annulment if he became Catholic, I believe, depending on. I used to know all the rules about that, and I don't anymore. They weren't married in a Catholic church, were they? They were married at TPUSA or something, weren't they? That should have been the giveaway. There is a reason. Oh, come on. You know I can't say that on TV. Digging the show branded mic sticker. I wondered if anyone would notice that. Always flexing on everyone. It makes you wonder if these elites are forced into these positions described in the files. They get enslaved themselves and then abuse others, or else. Yeah, I'll pull it down so you can see what he's talking about. I got my little branded thing here. Hey, Trigger, it was $25. I'll send you the website. I mean, we're not talking, you're not missing a meal over it. I promise. I just didn't like the mechanics of the mic were shown back here. And I think I like that little design. I can't help it. It's the design of my little comments when I comment. It's the design of my emails when they send. How do people, okay, this is a good question. Makes you wonder if these elites are forced into these positions. If you don't follow Trigger Smart, you should. Great stuff. His video on the volcano the other night captivated me. I don't know if I said that. He did a 10-minute video on volcanoes, and I couldn't turn it off. I thought I'll watch a few minutes of this, see where he's going. No, I watched the whole thing. I don't think they're forced into these positions described in these emails. I think they are. I think they voluntarily get in them, and then they get so compromised that they genuinely lose their soul. And I don't know if it's a conscious Faustian bargain that they make, or if they just get stuck. Right? In hindsight, maybe TPUSA should have been deeply investigated. He may be alive, and they would be done, like the butter. I finally guessed it. I don't think he's alive. I don't think he's alive. Watch Trigger Smart tonight. Daily Fredo has an idea of why he feared prison. Love your show. I will watch it. It's a great tip. Thank you. Is this as the part where we all collectively say the Austrian painter and No. I believe Biden would have gone after Charlie the way he went after Trump. Charlie probably was innocent, and he knew that Biden knew what Biden was capable of. Yeah, potentially. Again, though, you got to do it in a way that can get convicted. Trump, there's not a crime you could put Trump on trial for in New York or Washington that he would not get convicted of. I think Charlie's a different case. Stu Peters put out a doc on X over the weekend called Occupy. It's about the history of Philadelphia and U.S. Holy smokes, it was jarring. Interesting. There's so many channels I listen to all the time. Dan, Graham, Tim, and Tatum. I can't even bear them anymore. It's Ucanus Coach Ian, Jesse, O, and Coop. Hey, I found myself that way, and I grieve the loss. Do you? Like, I grieve the fact that there's people I used to love listening to that I can't listen to anymore. Like, honestly, Mark Levin used to be part of my daily listen. He came on at where I lived. I don't know if they ran him live or if it was a replay, but it was like 5 to 7 p.m. or something, 6 to 8 p.m. And I loved it. It was a formative part of my development. I look back and I realize it probably was why I had so many lousy ideas but I grieve that. I grieve that loss. Not because I like them as people or I like their ideas. Maybe it's a loss of the time. Maybe that's what I'm grieving. Maybe I grieve the fact that I literally spent thousands of hours listening to Hannity and Levin. Maybe that's what it is. Matt Trigger Smart had a guest today on the live talking about the exact clip of CK, Fed Prison Fear. I saw Cassia's video the other day. She's a great YouTube content creator. Daily Freddo. That's what someone just said. I will watch it. Threat of Prison was from Arctic Frost, Jack Smith's Arctic Frost. Yeah, I'm aware of that. Again, I don't think, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the feds can just throw anyone they want in prison for any reason. But I'm naive enough to believe that they got to have some kind of charge that'll hold up in front of a jury. Baron, something you said before resonated is that maybe not all the claims are true, but surely some must be. If not, the Einstein accounts would be the most coordinated fiction ever constructed. Yeah. Some of that stuff you're reading is true. That's the most terrifying reality of the entire Einstein drop the other day. You know what parts I know are true, or I think are true? The way they think about us, who are not of their same religion. It's defamatory. Like, it's not defamatory. It's ugly. It's mean. I'm offended the way some of these people talk. I mean, David Stern, I liked David Stern. David Stern was the NBA commissioner. It was talking about how he couldn't wait out in the lobby or something because that's for the goyim. I was like, what? Okay. I didn't know he felt that way about me and all the people that played basketball for him, all but like 5 of them. ProPublica wrote a story about money laundering at TPUSA 8 days before Montgomery passed away. Sent you an email. Could definitely be why Charlie was afraid. Was that about laundering? I know it was about a lot of the... I'll go back and read it. I've read that article. It's been several years. Probably 5 years. That's an old article, right? I remember that article. I have so many questions about the master manipulator, Stacey Sheridan. Everywhere EK goes, she goes. She could be EK's handler. Seems that there was something much more sinister going on here. Well, remember my theory. I don't know if you wrote this before I gave you my theory about money laundering. But the money laundering comes in through the fundraisers. Now, I'm not saying the money laundering at TPUSA comes in through Stacey Sheridan. Don't get me wrong. I'm saying in my example, in my knowledge of how this stuff works, when you are laundering money through a charity, the fundraiser is the one who is the contact to bring the money in. He's the bag man. And so if TPUSA is up to no good, and that's a big if, then in logic, that's a sideways horseshoe. If they're up to no good, then the fundraisers probably are in on it. And that's a big if. It's a big if. I'm not stating as fact. I'm just suggesting a thought experiment, perhaps. Mel Gibson, devout Catholic outsider from the other side of the world, became an overweight pariah for some bad mistakes, but I wonder what all he saw on the inside. Look up the 1998 interview. I don't know that I have to look up the interview. I'm familiar with his statements. I'm familiar with some of the things that happened to him. I mean, other people are saying the same thing. He's not the only one to have said those things. Love how the chat still freaks out about you having 8 kids. Are they freaking out in there? Ladies and gentlemen, are you freaking out about my 8 kids? They're 8 wonderful kids. It's just the right amount for us. I think we've aged out of the game in our late 40s. But the Lord has surprised in the past. Think of Sarah. EK was born on November 22, not a particularly significant date unless you're meant to become the grieving widow of a politically assassinated figure. I think she technically presents herself as being born on November 20, which is why I was so confused when the divorce records that her parents signed and corrected their wedding date did not correct her birth date. That's my point. There's something weird about their childhood. Something really weird about her childhood. Not to mention, her sister's 19 years older. Now, that happens sometimes, but it's very rare that you have a family with one child and not another child for 19 years, and then another child shows up. That's unusual. It's a little unusual. And then there's the whole emancipation thing. Do we know why the daughter was emancipated? That doesn't, I don't think they're using it to just mean she's an adult, because then they would just say she's an adult. Excuse me. The list that CK wrote on his desk that Erika reads on Glenn Beck is the most revealing IMO. She's not on it, and that says a lot. EK clearly surprised too. I didn't see that. What are we talking about? Erika Kirk reads list Glenn Beck. Am I going to find it with that? No, apparently not. Nope. I will have to look for that. I haven't seen that and have no idea what you're talking about. I don't watch Glenn Beck, if I'm being honest with you. Like, I cannot imagine something at this point in my life, 46 years old, knowing what I know about Glenn Beck for the last 10 or 12 years. There's just not a situation where I'm going to say, I've only got so much time today. What are we going to do? Well, we could watch Glenn Beck. You mean the guy who rubbed the Cheetos all over his face? Yeah, that guy. You mean the guy who used to cry on TV all the time? Yeah, that guy. Glenn Beck? The guy with the chalkboard? Are we talking early chalkboard era where you would actually write, or late chalkboard where it was all pre-done and you just flipped it? We talking about never Trumper, Glenn Beck? Same guy? I'm just not reading them. I'm not watching them, excuse me. Aren't handles supposed to know everything about their mark? What a disappointing undercover blonde beauty queen agent. Big prayers from Houston, Texas. How do you know she didn't? Baron, look up a video on YouTube titled The End of Brad Meltzer. It's an interview with a security driver talking about how his client, Satanist, runs DC and has the Spear of Destiny and plans to use it. I don't believe him. The End of Brad Meltzer. I don't know who Brad Meltzer is. Am I supposed to know who Brad Meltzer is? I don't believe that. I don't believe some guy knows where the Spear of Destiny is and plans to use it. I could be wrong. I'm born and raised Catholic, but I haven't gone to church in some time. Out of nowhere, you show up on my screen. The reason, Charlie Kirk. But with each show, I find myself another step closer to returning to the church. Who knew? God did. Thanks, Baron. You know, the Lord works in mysterious ways. P.R. Baker 3. You guys' names trip me out. The Lord works in mysterious ways. Go back to church. Go back to church. It's good for you. Good for the soul. This, they say sometimes the Lord whispers. I'm trying to whisper. Thank you for that generous donation, by the way. I love you, Baron. And chat, it's up to us to force justice for all. That was almost the name of a Metallica album. That was And Justice for All. There's no other option, unfortunately. Why are you yelling at me, Crystal? What did I do to you? Make you go to all caps mid-sentence. That's a conscious decision. You didn't just accidentally hit the shift key on one letter. You turned it on. I think they all look like Erika. She wears extensions now and contacts. Judge Joe has great info about Obama. EK and Obama both had strong ties to Bushes. For what it's worth, I've not heard about Erika's ties to the Bushes. I wonder how many Social Security numbers she has or how many passports. That was the cool thing. Not the cool thing. There's no cool thing about Epstein's story, but that dude had so many passports, allegedly. You know you're into some wild stuff if you've got that many passports. Like from different countries. If you got passport from more than one country, and it's not because you're a dual citizen, but you just got random passport, like a Saudi Arabian passport, Jordanian. I mean, you're into some weirdo stuff. Very, very weirdo stuff. Maybe he was duped, but found out before this, was trying to maneuver to get himself out of it and ended up losing his life. Could have been. Stacey Sheridan's seriousness to raise money. Many people at TPUSA are soulless IMO. It can be so easy. It can be so. They are all chameleons within all religions. Even CK is said. Erika might be one of them babies took from Liberty Teen. Now you're starting to talk my language. I'm not so sure she sprung from the loins of her mother. And if she did, I'm not so sure she shares DNA with her dad. And maybe I'm wrong on both counts. But there's something weird about her. There's something hidden. There's something secret that we don't know and aren't supposed to know. In some Eastern European Jewish magical traditions, Kabbalah, the demon mother Lilith was believed to steal healthy human infants and replace them with demonic substitutes known as Banam, Yiddish for to replace. But we don't believe that. I don't believe all that. That's the thing. Baron, great opening statement, per usual. Related to that CK video and how EF endorsed JD for 48 at TP event. Yeah, okay. Please tell me I'm not the only one wondering about the pizza thing together with Erika Kirk boyfriend and his tattoo on the lip and Diddy talking to his son while in jail and Epstein not mentioned who. So yeah, the pizza thing under the ex-boyfriend's lip is bizarre. If you don't know what she's talking about, Cabot Phillips, who is, by all accounts, a political insider, but I've never heard that he's committed crimes, to be fair. But he does have the word pizza tattooed under his lip. That's a commitment to something. Like, I don't know anyone who likes pizza that much. And I've met people who work at pizza places. I've met people who eat a lot of pizza, who talk about pizza. I know people with pizza tattoos, just not on their lip, not in their mouth. I don't know what a single sentence, a single word of this is. See, first off, talk like this to even if want to be. I don't know what that means. I wish I did because I would love to address it. Shabbat Shalom, Baron's home. Oh yeah, baby. You know it. Throwing that phone in the drawer. Did you see the part about Erika Glenbeck interview when she picks up a paper Charlie had written on with the words family, kids, loneliness, and then she says, interesting, poor Charlie. No, now I'm gonna have to watch it. Was this recently? Again, I don't watch Glenbeck. Like I say I'm gonna have to watch it. I don't want to watch it. I'm gonna have to move forward a little bit through some of these, particularly things that I've answered in the past or on this show, because we're at 2.5 hours. Oh, yeah, here. This is interesting. Do I think it's possible the Bitcoin was never actually clawed back? Is it possible they didn't want people to think they can get away with that? Well, if it wasn't clawed back, the group that did it would know they could get away with it. Now, maybe other people might not know. So, yeah, I guess that's possible. Like, or maybe they told, the U.S. government has a big supply of Bitcoin. Maybe they told that Colonial, they clawed it back and they shipped them a bunch of Bitcoin and it just came out of the U.S. reserves of some sort, some criminal's account or whatever. I mean, I guess that's all that's possible. Left the Protestant church after feeling like it was empty, lacking. What did we do before the Bible? Never a good answer until Catholicism. What drew me in was all the logical answers. Great opening. Yeah, again, I'm not telling people to leave the church. I will answer questions people have. My point of my opening today was not everyone should run out and be Catholic. I mean, as a Catholic, I think it'd be great, but that wasn't my point. My point was to set up that if Charlie truly was thinking of becoming Catholic, it would not have gone unnoticed. It would have caused tumult. It would have been deeply disruptive to his life and his business and his family and his friends. It would have been bad for him. I mean, it'd have been good. Don't get me wrong. But it would have had consequences. Let me put it that way. I don't want to say it'd be bad. It would have deep consequences. That was my point. Circle of trust, circle peace and truth and no pedo. Okay. Great job, BC. Also, there's pics of Meryl Burbank's Truman Show. Oops, I meant Erika Franceve with her parents beside her. Are there pics? I don't know, actually. That's a good question. There's one pic that has her mom in it when she was little. She has a bowl cut. I'm assuming that's her mom. Thanks for taking over the Bongino show. Didn't he in the morning? I thought he was at a morning show. I have birth now. I did not watch it, by the way. There's nothing that's going to make me want to watch that man after what he did. What a supreme disappointment that guy was. There's nothing that would make me turn on his show. I have a birth announcement without pictures from a paper in Ohio. I think I know where those pictures came from. There's an interviewee from her Miss USA time that includes those pictures and more. You have a birth announcement without pictures. You think you know where those pictures came from. Oh, you think you know where the pictures from the YouTube video came from. I would like to see the birth announcement. Again, I've heard this theory. How old would John Benet Ramsey be today? Well, let me look. What was her birthday? John Benet Ramsey birthday. Her birthday was August 6th of 90. So Erika should be about 2 years older, give or take. Could it be Erika Kirk wears colored eye contacts, definitely brown eyes as child, if that's her? I don't think you could put eye contacts in that would give you that clarity of your eyes. I don't think so. Bitcoin Core is not Bitcoin. That would be like saying Kmart is Walmart. Well, yeah, but the foundation that was that maybe I'm wrong, but I thought the foundation that was controlling the code was controlling the. I could be wrong. Look, always open to correction. I'm going to check into it based on what you just said. 100% going to check into it. Real Baron Podcast do a side-by-side. I did a side-by-side, and it was frankly terrifying. It made me never want to eat food again. And it made me want to start running 6 miles before breakfast and 6 miles after breakfast and then 6 miles after dinner. Hey, Baron, I'm a Christian that attends a Southern Baptist church. Those putting you down yesterday were wrong. You are my brother in Christ. Keep the faith. Always speak truth and love. Love in Christ. I think it was just one guy. I think it was just one guy. And I don't think he was putting me down. I didn't take it that way. I think he is passionate about his faith. And was perhaps overzealous given the forum, but I don't think he was putting me down in particular. I just don't think it. Time and place on everything. If we're having a theological debate, like if I sign up for a theological debate, or I come on and say, hey, today we're going to talk theology, and we're just going to have a debate back and forth. And if you want to argue with me, today's the day. Man, sign up. Let's go. I'll put up a sign-up sheet. I'll give you a link. We'll bring you in. We'll go. or just show up in the comments and start throwing bombs. That's time and place. But if I'm just doing a show and you start throwing haymakers about like, you know, the Protestants' greatest hits against Catholicism, I mean, I wouldn't do that to you. Like, I'm not going to show up to Allie Beth Stuckey's podcast about the Einstein Files. If she'll never have one of those, never mind. I'm not going to show up to her podcast about about Erika Kirk and some speech she's giving, and like be in there and be like, you know, you don't have to dunk all the way and be baptized, Stuckey. You know, Peter was the first pope, Stuckey. Why? It's not the forum. It's not the point. That's not what we're doing. That's just not who we are. Anyway. So you are also my brother in Christ, Brandon and Billy Show, 6,000 likes on this video. And you guys claim to be Barron fans, huh? Sure. 10,000 undercover haters. You guys are harsh. Holy mackerel. Have you guys met my security, Brandon and Billy? Have you met my enforcers? Holy mackerel. You guys came in throwing bombs. You remind me of that guy yesterday who was anti-Catholic. Well, thank you, girls. I appreciate that. We're now, this is a little delayed. We're now up to 8,376 likes. Perhaps it was their effort. Or perhaps you guys just take your time and hit the like button on the way out. You're welcome to do that as well. I know a lot of you watch TV. I get the stats. I know how many, like 35 to 40% usually are on some sort of television, 30, 35, 40%. And I know it's a little more difficult to hit the like button on the television. I'm not blaming you guys, but I will say, for those of you watching who are like, man, I would love to support the program, but I can't pay $2 even for a super chat. That's fine. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Email it to a buddy of yours. Send it by text to a friend. Say, hey, have you seen this guy? Check him out. He's great. If I say so myself. Thank you, girls. I appreciate that. Barron, you'll need to. Oh, and if you've not watched Brandy and Billy, if you go to their podcast, you'll see your humble host when they do their Nashville interviews. Just telling you, they were in town and I might have run into them. Barron, you'll need to double check me, but Erika and 2 of the Egyptian planes have now disabled their flight data history. SU-BTT, SU-BND, and of course Erika's jet. That's true. It's still being picked up by ADSB Exchange, but that for the commercial services, that's correct. But if they're in the air, you can set it to give you notifications if they're in the air. I mean, typically they have to have their stuff on if they're in the air. So they might not have a history recorded that you can go find, but if they're in the air, they do have to be recorded. I think I'm right on that. Trigger Smart's guest tonight stated FBI opened investigation Arctic frost in April 2022 under Biden DOJ. Timestamp 4647. I like a man who timestamps or a woman who timestamps. Deleted tweet about sponsoring buses for people to go to Capitol on January 6th. Timestamp 55130. I also was aware they deleted that tweet. I don't know why they deleted it. It's not necessary, but I was aware they did. U.S. program is taking a hit. Like disappeared twice. Has anyone looked into tissue banks and donor processing? I have not looked into it. I have looked at. I'm an organ donor, but the more I look into it, the more I wonder if I should be. And I hate to say that, but I read a story the other day, and I'm assuming it's true. I mean, I read it on the internet. I read a story the other day about a guy who was declared brain dead. They were going to take his organs, and he started fighting them on the way. And then they hit him with some kind of paralytic, and his family kind of figured out what was going on, and they went and stopped it. And he recovered, and then he was dancing with his sister at her wedding. Like, I don't want that to happen to me. I want to dance. if I can, I like to dance. And I'm a terrible dancer. Don't get me wrong. You don't want to see it. It's horrific. But if there's a chance I can dance, I don't want to be sliced open and have my heart taken out. Thank you for that generous donation there, Empress. Baron, so you a butt guy? What are we talking about? We talking about Republican staffer butt guy, or are we talking about like I'm on women? I squatted and deadlifted 315 for 40 today, for 40th birthday. Squatted and deadlift. I can deadlift 315, but I don't think I can squat 315 right now. It took 6 years. My hiney never came to the party. Sad day. Some of us aren't gifted that way. May take Joe 6 years to read that book. Doesn't mean she'll learn anything. Demons can't squat with that ponytail. Rosie, that's a healthy deadlift and squat day for 40 years old. I don't want to say for a girl, but I mean for a girl. That's healthy. I don't think I could squat 315. I could deadlift a lot more than 315, but my squat is pretty lousy, for being honest. Thank you, Rosie, for that generous that generous donation, and happy birthday, Rosie. Happy birthday. Keep on keeping on. Hey, and keep that muscle tissue. Women save muscle tissue longer than men, so the more you work out, the more you'll save. But am I a butt guy? Hell yeah, I am. I never answered the question. Yes, I'm a butt guy. Who's not? Sorry. I had to be honest for a minute. Thank you, Baron. Keep going, Max. People need the truth. My wife and I have watched every episode since October. Openings are high quality and give us so much context for your perspective on things. That's the goal with the openings. I'm giving you my arc for how I view things. That's all it is. It's just me giving you an arc for how I view the world. That's not suggesting you have to view the world that way, just if you want to be right. I kid. Brandon and Billy are back. Weird request. Can you bring your moderators on your members only show sometime? I know all of their names and virtual personalities at this point. Their real names? They give you their real names? People are psychos. I wouldn't give anyone my real name. I mean, I've given you all my real name, but not if I was hiding behind anonymity. I could probably do that. It would take some coordination. See, the problem is I know their screen names, but I don't know their emails. Like, I don't know how to get in touch with them. So I actually, no, I do have their emails, I think, because I think all of them had to email me to get added because I had to ask them what their YouTube channel was in order to add it, because that's how you add them. You can't just add necessarily by the screen name because the screen name doesn't always match the YouTube channel name. So I think I do have their emails. I probably could do that. Have just a big mod party. That'd be fun. Colonial Hack. Fed obtained private key of wallet via inside hack of the Darksiders crew. Recovered 63.7 of the 70 coins. CWT ransom was never recovered. CISP PCIEH here. God is great. That's what we're told. But again, did you see the paperwork? I mean, that's my thing, dude. An inside hack of their crew. Wouldn't it be easier just to have a backdoor into all Bitcoin and send it and just have access to it if you ever needed it? You know, I mean, anyway, I don't want to argue the point, but I trust you and you're very credentialed. I do believe that hoodie would be a lovely shade of butter yellow. One of my personal favorites. Love the show. It's funny that it's one of your personal favorites. I get hate about this hoodie. I get people that tell me never to wear yellow again. I look terrible in it. And I'm doing myself no favors. This is how people talk to me. And you're lucky I show back up. What's the connection between CK, Kenstar, Stacey Sheridan, 72-year-old man helping to start TPUSA? Sent you an email about this. I will read it because I am dying to know. Dying to know. Did you tell your bladder to hold, please? Love the show. Not today, but I had to that day. Remember the day I was hopping all over the place? I figured it out. I have to hydrate well in advance of the show. Make sure I have an event before the show. And then I am able to take care of, the whole show before I have to leave. Father Don Kline, the church is hypersensitive about that right now. Everyone should always be hypersensitive about our children. Agreed first. I don't I don't know what the allegation was against him. I don't know if it was child related or adult related. Both are scandalous in the Catholic Church. When it comes to priests, we don't like our priests doing that with people. So I don't know what the actual allegation was. I think what he's saying is post the 2002 era when everything started breaking, and you had the bulk of the scandal was between adult priests and teenage boys, and it was scandalous, it was wrong, it was unacceptable, and there were tremendous changes put in place to ensure that one of the safest places a teenage boy could be is a church. There wasn't a whole lot of young kids involved, but even then, if you volunteer at a Catholic church right now, at least the ones I've gone to, you got to take a training seminar. They got to do a background check. They check it out. And so I think what he's saying is, when he's saying they're sensitive about that right now, he's saying is they've really instituted certain reforms, and those reforms would not permit any kind of scandalous idea. What's the word I'm looking for? Any kind of credible scandalous allegation to remain in office at a parish. That's. I mean, we've had people removed in our diocese not terribly long ago. I mean, they pull the plug. I mean, they pull people now. They go. Can we call Einstein epiglottis instead? So much funnier. You can call him whatever you want. What is epiglottis? Am I supposed to know what that is? The stiff yet flexible leaf-shaped flap of cartilage located in the throat behind the tongue and in front of the larynx. I mean, you can call them that if you want. I don't. Sorry. Yeah, sorry. Do Catholics worship Mary? I'm struggling with looking into Catholicism. The answer is no. We only worship God. We do venerate certain things, like we venerate the scriptures, meaning we hold them in high regard. We do venerate Mary because we hold her in high regard as the mother of Christ, the mother of God. We believe God was God from the moment of conception. Therefore, we believe she birthed God. She therefore is the mother of God, raised God, because we do believe Christ was God from conception. And so, yeah, we hold her in very high regard. I mean, she had a unique and singular role in salvation history. No other woman shared her role. It's almost something that can't be said about anybody else. Like, there were more than one prophets. I mean, there were multiple prophets. There was more than one prophet. There were multiple prophets. There were multiple kings. There were multiple, people that fulfilled different roles, but there was only one woman in all of humanity whom God looked at and said, that's the one. That's the one I'm going to trust with my son. And so we hold her in very high regard. And that's, I mean, if you're shy about that, you're going to have a little trouble with Catholicism. Worship? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. We don't worship anybody but God alone. Absolutely nothing but God alone. So thank you for that question. Good opportunity to answer it. See, that's what I'm talking about. Just ask me the question. I'll be happy to answer the question. Just don't argue with me. That's unbecoming. Befuddled by Daffodils Yellow. That's what I named it last time, Alpaca Renee. Thank you for that very generous donation. I think it's an accurate description. The way that phrase was born was the pots of plants on the newly repaved UVU crime scene. I was a bomb dog handler for years, and I'm not aware of plants that confuse detector dogs. Dope dealers will sometimes try to mask scent with coffee. With coffee? Does it work? I can't. Don't tell people that. We'll show up at UVU and they'll be roasting Folgers beans out there in the courtyard. Don't tell people that coffee works. Don't give away your secrets now. Thank you for that generous donation, Alpaca Renee. Always so kind. Call it now. Adidas sponsorship rolls in at 500,000 subs. I would love an Adidas sponsorship, ladies and gentlemen. Our best Baron sent my first super chat last night. Missed reading. All good, but curious your thoughts on C.K. Stop in the Name of God book. Did he write the whole book? Have you read it? Anyone else's thoughts? I have not read it. I mean, most books, and I don't know if Charlie wrote it all or not. Maybe he wrote every word of every book he's ever written. But most books written by people like Charlie are mostly ghost written, and so I don't bother reading them. They probably sit down with a ghost reader and give a very detailed account of what they're expecting the book to say, but they're ghost written. Actually know a ghostwriter. And so, no, I've not read it. I have no idea what it says. I have no reference for whether it's a good book or not. I don't doubt that it was heavily edited after he passed. Something tells me that it got more Hebrew file after he passed. You said you're going to play the video where Charlie cried when Trump got arrested. I've never seen that footage. Can you play it? No, when Trump got elected. When Trump got elected. I could play that video. I don't know if there's video of him crying when Trump got arrested, but I said Charlie Kirk cries when Trump wins. Try to find one that's not. Yeah, here we go. Oh gosh, I'm trying to make it big. I can't. Oh, because it's a short. Yeah. Here we go. This is what I was talking about. And I don't know why it's black and white, and it's probably got some kind of sound in it because everybody ruins everything with AI slop. But this is him finding out that Trump won Pennsylvania and likely was going to go on to win the presidency, and he gets a little emotional. And he said it's because he was facing life in prison. Those are his words. That he was facing life in prison. So that's it. I don't claim to know what he was really thinking or what he was doing or why he did it. As for the person who said a little ago, you sent us chat yesterday, I cannot read them all. I have to skip some just by nature. Depending on how many I get, I can read a higher percentage or a lower percentage on any given night. Advice from non-Catholic, great TV show, The Journey Home. Yeah, it's a great show. Actually, a friend of mine who just passed away in the last couple of weeks was on A Journey Home. He was a really decent, fundamentally good man. Died 2 Saturdays ago. Just a wonderful human being. I mean, just warm, kind. I can't tell you how many times I called him to ask either a question or a favor, or can you put me in touch with somebody? Can you give me somebody? I need a number. Do you have this guy's number? And he was always just, how are you? How are your kids? How's your family? How's your wife doing? Are you able to spend more time? I mean, just a loving man. And I struggled with that one. That one hurt me. That one hurt me. From Sid Baron, do you think Bondi attack was red flag? I don't know. I will say this about that Bondi Beach attack. There were a whole lot of people hanging around videoing it, and I've never seen that before. Anytime in my life I've ever seen video footage where a shooter starts shooting, everybody takes off running. Like, just as far away as you can get. And there were so many people like standing right next to it, just. And not far. I mean, I'm talking like within shouting distance, much less shooting distance. So, hey, Baron, what's your idea of difference between the Catholic and Lutheran? Our views seem quite similar, but my mom is adamant we're quite different. Well, there are many different branches of Lutheranism. There's only one branch of Catholicism, but there was a document. I'm going to get it for you here. The Lutheran Catholic Joint Declaration on Doctrine of Justification. So I don't know if this is your brand of Lutheranism or not, but the Catholic Church and the Lutherans got together and settled a 450 or 500-year-old dispute on October 31st, 1999. This is the Joint Declaration on the Doctrine of Justification. And they got together and they basically said, we don't disagree on this. Like, we know this was the basis of the, so maybe you show your mom this. We know this was the basis of the split, the difference of justification, but we don't really disagree on it. Now, I don't know that every Lutheran church subscribes to that doctrine. I don't know that, that's the thing. I'll tell you one of my favorite funny jokes. The funniest joke I've ever heard. I'm going to get the dates wrong in some of the branches and all this, but follow me. This is the gist of it. Guy's driving down the road, and he sees somebody and the guy's on a bridge, and he's on the other side of the rail of the bridge. He's going to jump, and it's like a 500-foot drop. The guy's surely going to die. And he pulls over. He said, "What are you doing?" And the guy says, I have nothing to live for. I'm going to commit suicide. I hate that you have to see it, but I'm about to go. So if you don't want to see it, you need to go. And the guy said, well, just let me have a quick conversation with you first. And the guy says, sure, I'll, whatever. And he said, well, do you believe in God? And the guy goes, oh, I do. Yeah. And he says, well, me too. He says, are you Christian, Jewish, Hindu? What do you believe in? He goes, I'm Christian. He goes, me too. Oh, come on, man. God loves you. Don't do this. He said, are you Protestant? Are you Catholic? He says, I'm Protestant. He goes, me too. We've got so much in common. Please just hear me out. Keep the conversation going. Just delay the decision. Let's just keep talking, hearing it out. He goes, what brand of Protestant are you? And he goes, I'm Baptist. He goes, me too. He said, oh, what are the odds? God must have sent me here to you. Please don't do this. Don't jump. And the guy says, I don't know, man. He said, I'll tell you what, are you Northern Baptist or are you Southern Baptist? He says, I'm Northern Baptist. He goes, me too. He said, oh, man, come on. Just give me your hand. The guy's like, I don't know. And he said, well, are you Northern Baptist Great Lakes Convention of 1961? Or are you Northern Baptist Great Lakes Convention of 1985? And he said, I'm Northern Baptist Great Lakes Convention of 1961. And the guy pushes him off the bridge. He goes, die, heretic. My favorite joke, and I'm sure I got some of the dates wrong and some of the denominations wrong and all that. That's my favorite joke. So I say all that to say, I don't know what branch of Lutheran you are. I know there's a Missouri Synod and there's some other stuff. I don't know which one signed this, but I know when it comes down to the basic doctrine of justification, at least that branch of Lutheranism agrees with the Catholics that we don't really disagree. Justification is by grace. It is by grace. It is something you could never earn. I don't know when this became such a religious program. It was not supposed to be, but hey, I'll go where the conversation takes us. Since the Egyptian planes follow EK, could it be that they are being used to transport trafficked items out of the country? So there's a big premise there. The premise of your question is that the Egyptian planes follow Erika Kirk. I have never said that. I know a lot of podcasters have. I know a lot of people believe that, but I have never said that because I've never been presented with what I feel is sufficient evidence to draw that conclusion. I have seen where there are Egyptian planes at places where there are also TPUSA events pretty close by. So I have seen that, or Erika Kirk is pretty close by. But I've never drawn the causal confusion that the presence of Erika Kirk is what caused the presence of the Egyptian plane. I've never been able to get there. That said, do I think the planes, Egyptian private planes and otherwise, are used to ferry things around? Well, I don't know about the TPUSA plane specifically or the Egyptian plane specifically, but yes, in this country, private planes are a huge source of trafficking. Particularly these unmonitored strips. You just land and you set down and you can unload anything you want. No one's looking around. You can put anything on. No one's looking around. And then you back off you go. It's more common than you think. Just say GA marriage caused. Oh, I see what you're saying. Problems. It is a fact. As a GA female, I don't agree with it for religious people. I fought for legal recognition. Much love and respect to all. I used to have a GA business partner. And he asked me what my thought was on gay marriage. And I was like, well, because we were business partner when the Supreme Court was doing all this. And I was like, well, you're probably not going to like this, but I'm not wild about the Supreme Court doing this. He goes, oh my gosh, me either. He's like, I hate it. I think it's the dumbest thing. It's fake. I was like, well, you're not allowed to say that. He's like, I can say it. I'm one of them. So you're not alone out there, Mel Klomp. You're not alone. No way, Padre Baron, you're a league of your own. Oh, thank you. Thank you. You're making more people convert than that dude for sure. What dude? The priest? Or what dude we talking about? I got to pull this down. I looked up John Benet Ramsey's birth date, and every time I look to my left, it's like her whole family's staring at me. That was too much. Too much. Orthodox Christian here. My family and I have been having questions with the Orthodox. What would we need to do should we want to attend Catholic liturgy, receiving the holy mysteries? Thank you for your excellent show. I would talk to the parish priest wherever you plan to go, because I'm not sure the exact rules of it, but I do know there are, like, generally speaking, Catholics have closed communion, meaning we don't permit non-Catholics. I mean, we can't stop them if they show up, but we request that non-Catholics not take communion. And it's scriptural. It goes back to Paul saying, if you take the communion in a manner unworthy, then you heap condemnation on your head. It's just us protecting people. We have a process in place for Catholics to make sure you're worthy. We have a way we take care of it internally. Not to say others aren't. It's just protection mechanism. I got to be very cautious when I'm talking to non-Catholics. That said, we do draw an exception for Orthodox. And I know for a fact, for example, there was a Lithuanian Orthodox family at an old parish where I went, where we lived before, and they would show up and they were taking communion. So I know there's an exception that exists. Your parish priest is probably well more attuned to the rules than I am. So I would just make a phone call. Just say, hey, when can I talk to the priest? Here's my number. I got a question about, we're Orthodox. We want to drop by. We just need to ask some questions. He'll call you back. Saturday refers to Saturn Day. Guess who worships Saturn and what it rhymes? Does that all click? Yes. I don't know about well, I mean, it clicks. I know what you're saying. I smell what you're stepping in. I don't know that worship is the right word, but maybe I'm mistaken about that. I will say this about it. The idea that Saturn played a pivotal role in mankind's history is not limited to Jewish people. The Egyptians were very big on Saturn. It has a remarkably historical role. It transcends continents. There's a lot of discussion about Saturn being fixed at the North Pole. There's just way too much emphasis on Saturn for it to be a small little pinprick of light way out there that sort of randomly moves through the sky. And so again, I'm an electric universe guy. So you're going to get a different opinion from me on this Saturn thing than a lot of other people. But I think Saturn played a prominent role in human history. And some of that prominent role has been preserved through certain groups. Whether or not it's right is a different question. But I think I know where it comes from. Wait, Erika said her parents divorced when she was 5. Separation says 1996. Didn't even get that right. Did she say 5? Because I think it was 99. Where's my run of show? I'll pull that back up. Oh, no, that's the wrong one. When was Erika born? Here we go. So that's the divorce decree. Separation agreement was, it doesn't say 19. It doesn't say 90. Oh, yeah, DR 98. That's interesting because she would have been 9 at that point. Now, maybe this was just the formal divorce, this formal separation agreement. Maybe there was an informal separation that she experienced but didn't get documented in a courthouse somewhere. But very perceptive, very attuned, very attuned. Did I say Guido Sarducci? Oh, it's Saturday Night Live character. Baron, just want to drop a big thank you from Newport Beach, California. My boyfriend Ken's and O. Look forward to watching your awesome opening statements. God bless. Christ is King. Christ is King indeed. Thank you. Have I read Taylor Marshall's book, Infiltration? My dad was in formation to be a priest. He told me many priests have issues. I've not read that. I did spend an evening with Taylor Marshall at an event in 2020, late 2020, November of 2020. And he's an interesting guy. We talked for quite a long time, and I even talked him into getting a selfie with me. I think I got it in here somewhere. Now this was old drinking Baron, so if I can find the selfie quickly, I'll show it to you. And you got to understand that this Baron drank a little more than current Baron, but that's Taylor Marshall and me after a long conversation that went into the evening. He's a good dude. I really liked him. I liked him quite a lot. Second night I caught you live, although at the tail end, LOL, sending love and support. Well, Karen, you're going to have to get ready earlier. Why is everybody so late tonight? Late to the show. We'll go back to rewatching. Go back to rewatch. Have you watched CK's last interview with Andrew K. Smith on 910? CK said he never sat in long meetings and delegated everything. I don't think he knew about corruption TPUSA till the end. I have watched that, but I didn't pick up on that part. Or I didn't draw that conclusion. Maybe I'll go back and watch it. It was an interesting interview. Was that on the stage? He was at some restaurateurs event or something in Salt Lake City. Benny Johnson said the same thing many times because they choose to support Trump publicly, going against narrative, and he would end up in prison if Trump lost election. And then you say ex-DOJ went after Bannon. Bannon didn't respond to a subpoena. I mean, you got to respond, right? Baron, love your show. Cradle Catholic, thinking of officially joining the church, but why should I confess to a priest when I've been confessing directly to God and Jesus Christ all my life? So again, this goes back to the sacraments are made for man, not man for the sacraments. God can forgive sins outside of the sacrament of confession, certainly. But God also said, confess your sins to one another, and he will forgive them. God told the apostles, whose sins you forgive will be forgiven. So the way I look at it, and I don't know if this is the most Catholic thing I've ever said. The way I look at it is, if the church lays out a pattern. The church lays out a way that we say, we're confident if you follow this pattern and you come with a contrite heart and you confess your sins, that Christ will forgive them. You're not confessing to a priest. The priest sits what's called in persona Christi, meaning in the person of Christ, in the place of Christ. And so he's just absolving you because Christ absolves you. And that's the Catholic definition. Again, I'm not telling people to go be Catholic. If you're interested in Catholicism like you are here, I've answered your question. I guess with that opening statement, I should have expected a lot of questions about the church. What question is that little blonde-haired Erika? To answer your question, I skipped one. Sorry. To answer your question, that's just the way we do it. Like we just and the priests are sworn to secrecy, and they'll go to prison over it. They don't break it. So, it's just a safe place to confess your sins to one another, like we're told to do. Baron, I've been waiting to ask, how would you recommend someone research the validity of Jesus Christ? I believe we got here somehow, God. But how does one know the story of Jesus Christ is real? Thank you in advance. That's a long question. I don't think I can answer that in a super chat. To begin with, in Corinthians, when Paul's writing the Corinthians, he talks about the resurrection of Christ. And he says, basically, don't take my word for it. He appeared to 500 other people. Go ask them. So right then, Paul's appealing to other people. Like, yes, I'm telling you Christ resurrected, but also other people saw it. So that's kind of the, a way you could do it. There's a lot of books that like Josh McDowell wrote a book called More Than a Carpenter. It's really good. I think he's a Baptist preacher or Baptist theologian or some sort. It's a really good book, More Than a Carpenter. It's an easy read. It's like 80 pages. It makes a really good case that Christ is a thing. If you believe in the supernatural, the good and the bad, the angels and all that, if you understand the role the Hebrews played in salvation history and what they were pointing to, it only makes sense that a Messiah would have come and done exactly what Jesus did. I mean, there's, the main fact that 12 apostles go out into the world and 11 of them face horrific deaths. If it wasn't true, I just don't believe they would have all done it. Someone would have said, no, I'm just kidding. Don't do this. Like, don't skin me alive. Don't boil me in oil. Don't feed me to lions. Don't crucify me upside down. And it takes, 12 hours for me to suffocate in intense, incredible pain like Peter was. So I just think you put it all together and it's a compelling story. That's kind of where I am on it. It's just a compelling story that I came from an atheist background. Like I bought into it and I do believe it. What country is that little blonde hair, Erika? it looks like England. I don't know. Want to be Catholic, knows nothing about requirements to be accepted as truly Catholic in the eyes of the Catholic Church. An evangelical would consider their own choice to be sufficient. I want to be Catholic. You call me a want to be Catholic? It's not accepted. It's just like we take very seriously the requirements to be Catholic. We want to know that you know what you're getting into. And so there is a formation process we ask people to go through. That's not to say you can't be saved if you just get on your knees and beg God. We're just saying this is the way the Catholic Church has said you can join us. Say, I don't know. I'm not going to argue with you. First time super chat on your channel, sir. Question: where's Charlie Kirk's sister, and has anyone talked to her about her brother's loss? I know where she works, but I don't think it's wise to try to contact her. Obviously, she doesn't want to be contacted, or she'd come forward. She'd give an interview or something. Why has no one talked about her? I don't know. Their family seems very private. That's the answer I keep getting when I ask. That their family's just very private. Can you say hi to my mom and grandma watching? Marnie and Teresa. Hi, Marnie. Teresa. I had spelled differently, but I had a grandmother by that name. A great-grandmother, excuse me, by that name. Have I looked into the LDS Mormon connections in the CK story? Only to the extent that he worked with them. I haven't looked into the grand conspiracy around it. Should Erika Kirk ask for a refund from her acting coach? That's funny. That's funny. Henry VIII received title from Pope, Defender of the Faith without annulment, became Protestant. Title used on pound coins of this day. Oh, you give me some L-bucks, so you would know this. Also, legal Catholic can't be prime minister. I have heard that. Hi, Baron. My daughter goes to Ave Maria University in Florida. Great school. I have a friend whose daughter goes there. A group of students went to March for Life, and now there's an outbreak of measles on campus. Please keep them in your prayers. I will, but I think most people tolerate measles incredibly well, so I'm sure they'll be fine after a few days. I don't know what this means. God is conception. Okay. I don't know what Cullen's real name is. Just a little search makes it easy. It felt intentional. He got past me. I didn't even think to look. So, Agreed with Jaeger von Stern with name change. When watching back in history, you will only know if you know who you're talking about. People looking back to reference will think you're talking about Einstein. E equals DC squared. Okay. All jokes aside, counselor, do you know any really good criminal defense attorneys in Central South Georgia? Any connection wanting to help a family member? I know a guy named John Turner. I tried a case with him. I don't know if he's still practicing. He was older than I was. I probably shouldn't be doing this on air, but I think he's still practicing law. He's a good lawyer. A good lawyer can only do so much. If if you're guilty, you're guilty. But wouldn't be a bad first call. He's a good guy. Or he was 10, 15 years ago when I tried a case with him. I have no idea what he's doing today. How are people's minds not completely blown right now? Why is the world not angry? Thanks for all you do. Keep going. Max, justice for CK, and go Ducks. I'll let you do the go Ducks under that circumstance, young lady. But, have I considered that the lack of effort to get Nashville power is because so many podcasters live there and researching Charlie Kirk? No, I've not. That's a wild conspiracy. I like your creativity, though. Priest banned me from being an altar boy during communion. Someone false teeth fell out. Priest and toothless head-butted in retrieval. I was ringing the bell, uncontrollable in fit of giggles. Well, was he wrong? Hey, Baron. I was saying that Padre does not look like you. Oh, thank the Lord. Someone with common sense. Oh, I mean, thank you. With you in your own league. Oh, thank you, Rosie. You converting more people than him for sure. OMG, maybe drunk, swollen Baron. I can relate to that. I replaced booze for lifting in 2019. Well, you're probably healthier for it. Certainly will live a higher quality life, I would assume. I'm sorry, guys. I'm at 3 hours and 20 minutes. So I am skipping a few of these. Anyone consider when Erika said that young man, I forgive him, she was speaking about Charlie. After all, he was the one who was turning away from that country in the Middle East. No. I do think it was a little forward of her to convict him in her speech. I do think that. First time Super Chat. Love your show. Fresno, California. Home of the bishop who Charlie told he was this close to converting. Allegedly, the rumor has it, if his brother can be believed. There are not over 100 people in the United States who hate the Catholic Church. There are millions, however, who hate what they wrongly believe to be the Catholic Church, which is, of course, quite a different thing. Archbishop Sheen, I have a friend of mine who has a child named after Archbishop Sheen, who is a massive fan of the Archbishop. He was a great, great television personality back in the day. He was the first real kind of Catholic superstar on TV in the TV era. Guys, I got to run. 3 hours and 20 minutes we went tonight. Wow. Thank you for joining me. Thank you. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button. It helps the program. Hit the like button. That helps push it out. Share with a friend. I heard from someone today who said that their mother was talking to a friend of hers, and the friend was saying, you need to watch this guy. I really like him. I think he lived in Idaho, or she lived in Idaho or something. And they put it together and realized they already knew who I was. So I appreciate you guys' support. I appreciate you joining. I will not be live tomorrow night, taking the day off. I have a lot of driving. I have a lot of stuff to do tomorrow and cannot possibly prepare for a show. And I'm not going to do that where I'm not prepared and just come on just to come on. So I'm not going to do that, but I will do a member show tomorrow, hopefully for an hour or so during the day. We could do some Q&A. Maybe if something pops up during the day, we'll talk about it. But other than that, we'll just have a little family chat. And sometimes those get pretty rowdy. So if you want to join us, feel free to join the members channel. If not, I will see all of you back here Wednesday night. I don't know exactly what time that'll be. I don't know precisely what time we'll be back on Wednesday night. But I know we'll be here. And in the meantime, Jesus loves you.